Oh, that was me from earlier. Sorry. I did that last time too.
Yeah, the blue ones, but is the YouTube one you from earlier?
Those were all me from earlier. I checked. What are you doing and why are you up here?
This chat is ready.
Thanks for the update, Mopar.
You're welcome.
All right, cool. Are you in the camera? I know it's hard to see. You're good. That's a cool shirt. I don't hate it.
It's all blocked. Why is it blocked?
Okay, kids.
What's blocked? What's blocked?
Bricks.
What are you talking about?
Settle.
Why are you talking?
Creation, celebration, motivation right now, baby.
Hello, what have we here?
You guys are so funny.
Oh, I gotta share the thing. Sorry, hang on. There's too many things to do. When you do a thing, we need a young Jamie hanging around.
Or an elder scroll.
Elder Charlie. Old Dumbus.
May the force be with us. Fucking A.
Good day, Galaxy Rogue Squadron Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Special episode. I'm here.
Also am I.
My name. What's my name?
Mobar.
You are Commander Cody.
Thank you.
Thank
Why is it a special episode? Besides the guest that we will introduce shortly.
Because it's today.
It is today.
And I'm wearing the most badass shirt of all time.
Check it out. It's fucking sweet.
This is the Step Brothers. What
you have to call me
John C.
Nighthawk.
John C. Reilly was wearing
Yeah,
on
you know
in
it.
Step Brothers. A lot of people hate that movie. I think it's solid.
It's a particular type of humor.
Completely understand that.
Not everyone's a Will Ferrell fan.
Glass Armor hates Will Ferrell.
Really? Oh yeah, that's what made me think of that. We were talking about that recently.
And I will admit that like
Don't admit that.
the movies, a lot of movies that he's in are particularly bad, and then there's other movies like Elf is a staple. I'll watch Elf.
Yeah.
Classic. Step Brothers I actually really enjoy because I think they play off each other very well.
Yeah.
But then when he's in like Jay and Silent Bob, I'm like, all right, it's already a little over the top, especially just as a whole, and then you threw him in there as like a side piece.
I feel like he can slip into the SNL world. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Well, he was.
That's kind of what. Yeah, he was there, but I don't feel that on movies like Step Brothers or Anchorman. But I do feel like that in that side role that he has in Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
Sometimes production or whatever casting, they throw people in there for no reason.
Well, it'll get people to see the movie.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing a movie just for him.
It's like Sam Jackson in Star Wars. Am I right?
That's actually
Am I right?
incomplete.
I know.
There's no statistics beyond that. All right, guys, we're going to be getting into several different things. We got a beer review in front of us. It's going to be an extra special beer review.
Because it's a surprise?
It is a super surprise.
Is it an ultra surprise?
Supreme surprise.
There we go. Do you want to do that first?
I like that as a episode name, Supreme Surprise. It's actually difficult to say,
I think we can top that.
Well, you can bottom it. The reason it's going to be a supreme surprise, I'm going to keep saying that because I love this alliteration there. So I bought Tall Boy koozies yesterday. I went to a Blue Jackets game, which is our NHL hockey team, local. And they had these extra tall koozies. And I was like, first of all, it's crazy that I haven't seen that before. Second of all, gimme two.
And here we got two of them.
And the crazy thing is, what we're drinking is beer, but we've got tall boys in it, and these are built for those 24-ounce tall boys. So even a normal 16-ounce tall boy gets fucking engulfed in these things.
Yeah, so we can't see what's in here. So I think you pulled them out of your fridge, but you didn't look at them. So these are a surprise.
Yeah. And hey,
hi,
Mopar, where did you get those beers?
Mopar, where did you get these beers at?
I'm glad you asked.
Crafted Drafts, right?
No.
Oh, where'd you get them from?
Tavor. I finally got my Tavor box.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's been a bitch. Not Tavor's fault. It's because I travel, and they tried to drop it off several times while I wasn't home. And you need a signature because you got to be over 21 and all this shit.
Yeah.
And because I was traveling, they showed up on like Tuesdays. I'm like, I'm in West Virginia. You want to fucking ship it there? Or what do you have?
They pop up to your door like 6 a.m. on a Wednesday. They're like, we need somebody to sign for this, please.
Yeah. So that's not Tavor's fault, but these are a part of my
post office's fault.
This is part of my January Tavor box. I doubled down on pretty much everything. I got like a cider. I got an IPA. I like one of everything of the featured beers.
Hells yeah.
And I used the code word ROGUE.
Spelled correctly.
ROGUE. ROGUE. And that gave me $10 off my first order of $25 or more.
It did. It's true.
So I not only got craft beer from other states shipped to my face, but I also got it discounted using the rogue word.
The road
password.
code word.
The rogue code word.
And that's the best way to do it. So yeah, check out Tavour, Tavour.
Step 1 is download the app.
Yes. Find the beer you want.
Sign up. And the featured beers, it's like on a revolution. So each day they'll keep pumping out new featured beers, and you say add 2, add 1, add 3, fucking ship, done.
The words you choose to explain things. I don't know how.
Welcome.
If you spell it Rouge, you're going to get $10 added to your bill. So do it rightly.
Be a speller.
All right. You ready for this?
Speller. Yeah.
This is the first time ever that we've opened a beer and don't know what it is. And we're going to talk about it after we drink it. And I'm kind of excited for this. I
Yeah.
can't believe we didn't think about this earlier.
No, this is, and the reason I like this, well, there's many reasons, but not
All this talking is getting in the way of me having this.
Yeah, I'm opening it. Let's talk as we chat.
All right.
You want to introduce?
No,
I don't know
'cause
if he's got anything to drink.
No, we're going to sip on these first and then
Okay.
And then the Dark Lord is going to join us.
So the big reason why I do like this being kind of an anonymous beer is I think sometimes the labels set a tone. I mean, they're supposed to. But this is like a blindfold test on
like
just
yeah,
flavor.
it's like a taste test,
Because if
yeah.
it's got a shitty label and like it looks like it's built from the 90s and they have done nothing since marketing wise,
Yeah.
you're going to get like this might be bad. And then
Yeah.
you already have that in your mind.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of get around the psychology of like using that mindset about Star Wars later.
Ooh.
But yeah, that's why I wanted to go blind in this.
All right, so I'm trying to sniff it. I'm getting that urethane smell of the freaking koozie because it's
Yeah, it
brand
is very
new.
strong, yeah.
But it smells like a very smells like it's dry hopped. Just gonna take that guess. We'll find out.
It smells like a very, very well blended IPA.
All right. Cheers.
cheers this?
Absolutely no sound. They're in koozies.
Oh,
Ring the drinking bell.
cheers.
Yes.
First of all, perfect temperature. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. This is very good.
Yeah.
This is very good.
It's like the IPA. You think IPA? This is what it is.
But it's
Watch
not-
it be a paleo.
I wouldn't say it was standard because it has a little extra there. It's very smooth throughout the drink.
Yep.
I'm very happy with this.
Yeah. No, it's not, and it's not bland or like generic in any bad way. It's just like what you want from an IPA. It's here. It's ready to go.
And
That's
I
how you should feel about your beer.
dare I say it's very drinkable. Because I've been turned off by IPAs recently. Because it's just they're so heavy. Even if you're into those beers, they're very heavy hitting.
Yeah.
They can be.
It kind of gives you the profile of like the Columbus IPA, but it's not as heavy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So same flavor profile, just a little lighter, easier drinking.
Awesome.
So should we
you
see
wanna-
what they are?
Yeah, let's review or reveal. I'm sorry.
Revel. This is a badass can, actually.
You know, I didn't
Looks
want
like
to
some
say.
graffiti and shit.
I didn't want to say it because I saw them. Well, as I put them in the koozies, but this is a very like
Speak better.
hand scriptured. I don't even know. There's a lot of colors going on. It's almost like if Spider-Man Spider-Verse was a beer. This is what the can would look like.
All right, I feel that.
You feel
this
it?
is the Miles Morales beer. Once he grows up and he's 21.
So it is an IPA.
Yep.
Samo.
Samo.
It's actually kind of
Shamu?
difficult to read here.
And it is hopped with Cascade, Centennial, and Citra. There's 3 of our favorites. The only thing it's missing is Mosaic.
I'm trying to find the brewery.
I wouldn't even worry about that.
There's it no joke looks like one of those train like passenger or the cargo trains going by. You just see graffiti
yeah.
all over the fucking
That's exactly
thing.
what it looks like.
And nothing's legible.
LICbeerproject.com.
New York City. So it's
Long
out of New York
Island.
City.
All right, New York City peeps. Sean Richard, you better go get this.
Yeah.
Long Island. What's the C stand for? LIC beer. Long Island City. I'm an idiot.
I didn't even realize Long Island City was a thing. That's kind of
I didn't either until I was in New York the most recent time that I was in New York, which was recently.
New York City.
Yes. Yes. It's a city. All right, so as we continue to sip on these, we're going to think about a rating.
I'm kind of there.
Oh, already?
Yeah. I want to square this away because we got a lot to talk about here.
Squared. Solid 2 for me.
Extremely solid 2.
Yeah.
I know we don't like to do 2.5s or anything, but if we did, that's probably where I would lie. So I'm just gonna say,
we don't.
but we don't. So there's no reason for me to say that. solid 2 out of 3.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, extremely digging it.
Yeah.
And that's saying something. Again, I have been ordering non-IPAs because I ordered this a month ago. It came with my January, like I said. The past month, I've been like Pilsners, lagers, maybe a pale ale, and just keeping it a little more lighter. So the fact that this is still hitting my scritch,
It's always a good sign.
I mean, my scritch
Good word.
needs itched.
On that
You won't do
note-
it anymore.
On that.
So, and again, just go on over to Tavour, guys. And bare minimum, I would, even if you're not a big beer drinker, check it out. Download the app, TAVOUR. Download the app, sign in. It's free to
If you
just
don't
check
order
out.
something, they're going to shut the podcast down. So do you really want that? Do you want that to happen in
Do
your
you
life?
seriously want
It's
that?
going to be on your shoulders. We're going to blame you for this.
Long Island City, yo. He says
Out of
it's
New
out
York.
of Queens.
Out of Queens. I just said out of New York, obviously. All right. So without any further ado, we have a guest. We're going to bring him to you. He is a podcaster himself. He's a longtime fan of Star Wars. He hates almost everything that's new, and that's what we want to talk about. Welcome to the show, Dr. Richard, who we're going to call Darth Richard or Lord Richard or something else. Welcome.
I love having a Sith name. This is really fucking awesome.
Welcome, man. Thanks for joining us.
When are they going to make
Hey,
cool...
hold on, wait. I don't hate everything that's new. I just hate certain things.
Just the stuff that Disney has done.
No, there's some stuff that I like, but
I know. We're gonna trash talk each other this whole time. I think I'm gonna love most of it.
And there's no possible way that you win. So, because it's... Well, first of all, we have a big old mute button up here that we can just...
all right.
He's making good points. Turn him off.
I got to use that on you sometimes too. So
Yeah.
Absolutely, I understand. You want to get into guess around?
yeah. So Dr. Rich, Darth Rich, is that cool? Darth Rich, does that
I
work?
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your gamer tag?
Shunicron.
What does that even
a
mean?
Shit cran.
No, it's so Unicron, from the greatest movie ever made, 1986 Transformers the movie, with some initials from my last name.
What?
He made something up.
1986 Transformers.
Yeah, the original Autobots.
I was -2.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh shit, man.
Autobots.
Yeah, I knew there was a cartoon. I didn't know there was a movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you said movie.
It was the cartoon movie.
I didn't know
yeah,
that. Oh shit. Okay. Well, I'm
You
behind
have
the, I'm
never
behind the
seen
curve.
that movie?
I'm not sure I have either. I knew there was one. I'm not sure I've actually sat down and watched it. I'm not sure.
I just need to have a laugh here. My wife is on the chat asking me for my Netflix password. It's like, hey, great show, but by the way, what's the Netflix password? Damn it.
Live. This is my login. No one. You're gonna be maxed out on devices here real quick.
Oh my gosh. All right.
What I was gonna say is when we call him Darth Richard, when are we gonna get into really unique names like I'm sorry, that sounds bad, but like my mind went here like Richard the Devastator or like with like those classic Roman
That's like
names.
a Viking name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's cool, man.
No Vikings in Star Wars, bro.
Dude, if there was, they've had like Asian themes with the Trade Federation guys. They've
Yeah.
had like Irish themed people. They've had English. Everyone who's just evil's English.
yeah.
And then there's Han Solo, the drunken bastard from Iowa.
Yeah.
Which I think he's subscribed to us. But there's all those themes, but that would be unique to have.
Yeah.
And they're starting to do like Hispanic stuff with Diego. Throw some fucking Viking. I want to see a polar bear with tusks and who talks mad shit to everybody and just give him a lightsaber. I want it.
Oh man.
Give me more. What are we gonna do?
That's the
Guess
best
it's
introduction that could have ever happened.
8:18.
So thanks for joining us. So Dr. Richard, the first thing that we do after the beer, so the second thing we do is guess the scene. So
All right.
Mopar's just going to throw out a random number. So 8:18, you said. Mm-hmm. So in episode 8, 18 minutes in, we have to think based on what we've seen in the movie and try to guess what scene is happening right there. I just added a T to the word guess, and I'm excited.
And I have a jump start here because I watched it
Recently?
Yesterday before I went to the hockey game.
Oh, did you? What was that? The depths of Mustafar.
Oh my god, that's your Netflix password.
Yeah.
All right,
This
guess
is
the
how we
scene.
do things here.
Everybody knows what it is. Guess the scene. episode 8, 18 minutes in. What scene are we looking at? We're talking about the 18-minute mark. So I'm assuming we're looking at like the Juggernaut, or what do they call it?
The Dreadnought.
The Dreadnought, thank you.
yeah.
The Dreadnought coming in. There's got to be something there. Maybe Poe's fucking space breaking it around the turret. Where are we?
I think that had happened earlier than that, because that was like immediately after the credits rolled. That whole sequence where they're bombing the Dreadnought.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
but
thinking the opening sequence is over by now.
I think that bombing run takes a fucking long time, because she's fumbling around. I mean, we don't even get to see Rose's sister until we're like 5 minutes into that bombing scene, because it takes forever to take out all the other bombers.
I would guess you're past it. I would guess we're past the point where Leia's pitching out Poe Dameron for being reckless.
I think so too. Every time we think a scene takes really long, it's not in minutes. It's not actually as long as we think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like we're closer to 20 minutes in. We're getting there. That's a decent amount to like start setting stuff up. So my mind kind of goes. This is my first thought. Is Rose meeting Finn, and he's trying to like run, but I don't know if that's too far in.
Oh, it's way too far in.
What happens between all of that? No,
Bombing sequence. Finn wakes up, and then it goes to Octo.
Oh, so you think we're already raying it up?
I'm gonna say my vote
Chewie,
is.
what are you doing here?
That was exactly what I was about to say. Chewie breaks the door open in Luke's hut. That's my vote for guess the scene.
I'm gonna say he's fishing. You know what? I'm gonna guess the downed
sneezed.
X-wing. The downed X-wing in the water.
That's like 0.2 seconds of footage.
You want to be good? You want to be great? You got to be great.
There's no bonus points in this game.
Look, that's my guess.
All right, Darth.
What is Lord Richard?
Lord Darthard.
I mean, I've already kind of doubled down on Leia pitching out Poe Dameron, so
You're wrong.
I probably am. But
I think we're all wrong. There's gonna be a stupid scene in here. Oh, Snoke like flips Jackrabbit on his face. Remember? With the after the Dreadnought gets killed?
Yeah, but you said Jackrabbit and it threw me off. I was like, when is he fucking with the Jackrabbit?
Because he's a rabid cur, and I don't know.
Okay, I understand. Oh wow!
General
See,
Cox,
we're always off. So, Rich, I don't know if you can see this right now, but we're looking at 16 is Kylo is kneeling before Snoke. So we've already seen Octo, and we're back a little bit. So we're at 16. We're at 17. Snoke's arguing with him. He's going to shoot him with some lightning.
Lightning's gonna be 18.
So yeah, we are looking at Kylo kneeling before Snoke in the throne room.
I'll be damned.
That's what's going on at 18. It's hard to as soon as like the intro scene takes so long, but as soon as that's over, they're cutting to various characters like way quicker than we think. I believe.
Yeah, and normally you got to think that they're setting everything up, and all the characters are going to be spread out at the beginning. So
Yeah.
they're going to be jumping around, and then as the movie moves on, characters are going to come together.
Yeah.
So Rey and Kylo come together. Rose and Finn go
Yep.
off together, and then everything it simplifies itself throughout the breakdowns of the movies.
Yeah.
What did you guys get it right?
So yeah, if you're listening, did you win or did you miss the guess? And what do you win?
Did you guess the win?
What's the prize this time? Donut? You said donut last time.
This actually, you want to know what you win?
Sure.
Me too. I don't know what you win.
You get to keep listening to this podcast. That's the prize. That's the grand prize. What else?
And
could
if you
ask
lost,
for?
you have to keep listening to this podcast.
If you lost, you have to give us a 5-star review on every podcast app that there ever is.
Like and subscribe. Smash the like button.
Get us a new and noteworthy. Leave us a review.
Hire a new co-host. Get rid of Mopar. He sucks. All right. What else do we have?
Well, I was gonna say, so off of episode 8.
It's been fucking Winnie the Pooh, a blistery day out in this bitch.
Yes,
you-
Twister, right?
Are you a Winnie the Pooh fan? Did you grow up with it?
Everybody grew up with Winnie the Pooh.
Thank you. You over here act like, oh, I've seen it a couple times.
I grew up with them, but I don't know what the
No.
hell the details
Winnie
are.
the fucking
A
Pooh.
very blustery day. Who the
Yes.
hell doesn't know
Yes.
that?
Yes.
I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know Winnie and the rabbit and Eeyore.
You don't even know their
Tigger.
names.
What's the rabbit's name? Is Rabbit, right?
Mr. Rabbit.
Mr. Rabbit. See what I'm fucking talking about? What's the kangaroo's name? Mr. Kangaroo?
No,
it's
that's
Roo.
Roo and
Roo. His name is Roo.
And Kanga is his mom, probably. Sorry.
Kango.
Kanga. And Roo.
Kangaroo.
Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan.
Yeah,
I choose you.
it's been crazy wind like Twister out here.
Yeah. And you don't have to exclaim exactly where you're at, but what part of the states are you in?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't mind saying that.
Ooh. This is, and I think I've said this on the fucking podcast, it still blows my fucking mind.
What?
That Atlanta, Georgia is further west than we are.
What?
It blows my
Really?
fucking mind. It blows my mind, guys.
I'm gonna pull up a map immediately
That's what I said.
because it's just straight down I-75, right?
No, it's the way the East Coast is built. It cuts in so far. Atlanta, Georgia is further west than Columbus, Ohio.
That's so weird.
And it blows my fucking mind.
That's insane. The thing that usually blows my mind is that Denver is further south than Columbus.
That makes sense. There's a lot of the northern that just does. And
Well, you think with like all the snow and the mountains and everything, like that would be further
Yeah.
north, but it's just because it's high elevation.
Yeah. Well, and we even consider ourselves, especially where we're from, we're originally from Cleveland, and we are like the most northern part of Ohio. But Ohio's also like the most southern north state. Like you're so far, and I know that sounds weird, but we get so much snow that we consider that stuff. And then you look at how far Michigan's up, and then Wisconsin, and you go all the way up into Minnesota, and you're like, Jesus, half the country's above us.
That's insane.
And then, yeah, Atlanta's further west. It blows my fucking mind.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I never would have realized that.
I realized that because the Appalachians, how do you say it?
Appalachians.
Well, we're here now. We're here now. But they kind of like end in Atlanta, and the Appalachians are so far east of us.
What, they end in Atlanta? They go that far?
Yeah. I mean, it's not as crazy down there, but they do. It's like in that
Can
area.
you confirm?
They call it, the North Georgia mountains are the very end of the Appalachian Trail. Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow, I didn't know. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I don't know what this has to do with Star Wars. but I learned it.
Atlanta's in Mexico. Never knew that. No, that's some of those things that when I was traveling to Atlanta, we went west, and I was like, wait, you're going the wrong way, pilot.
I'm a pilot.
I'm a pilot. I'm a
Flyer.
driver.
All right, so Rich, we got to get into some things here.
Let's do it.
When did your Star Wars journey begin? I want to know. From day one. We've talked about it, I think, a little bit, but I want to hear for the record.
1977.
Shit.
I know, right? Old man. That was the first movie I ever saw on the big screen. My dad took me. And
That's intense.
I was floored. In fact, I had the opportunity many years later to take my dad to see episode 3 in Detroit, where I'm from originally. So, loving that Midwest vibe.
Also further west than Columbus.
Yeah.
That one's a little more obvious, though, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so. But yeah, I mean, I remember that experience quite vividly. And, my childhood was almost entirely based on Star Wars because of that moment, that experience. I mean, I remember buying my first action figure, my first Kenner vintage. It was the pre-release of Boba Fett before Empire came out, and I remember I didn't know anything about that character, but the packaging was just incredible. And
Stop
it was like this flame shooting out of his arm, and I was
Whoa.
Yeah, because the
Was
Christmas
he-
special.
Yeah, but was he like discolored in the Kenner toy? Because he was like blue in the Christmas special.
Yeah, he was the same colors as the actual in the movie. So basically, right before episode 5 came out, they released him. So that that first run of original figures came out, and then the Boba Fett figure came out, and it had like in that little fireball on the front of the blister pack, it said from the upcoming movie Empire Strikes Back. So you didn't know, and I remember my dad he said I could pick out any figure, and they had all the guys, and I just was mesmerized by this Boba Fett, and he's like, you don't know anything about him, and I just was just magically drawn to Fett, and a cool character that had no lines, right, but yet has this kind of cult following. But yeah, I mean, all my toys were Star Wars from probably 78 to 83 until I transitioned to GI Joe like everybody else did.
What? You gotta jump the Transformers, man.
Well, GI Joe came out before Transformers.
Sure, and I get that.
1 year earlier, and then Transformers came, but I mean, Star Wars was wildly influential, and I grew up during that period where after 83, I remember saying to my grandfather, I'm like, the Death Star blew up. What is it over? Like, it was almost like this sense of disbelief, like it's over, and then it really was almost I mean, the Marvel comics were absolute crap, but it was almost like 20 years, really, like nothing else happened until Dark Horse came around. And then, of course, what Timothy Zahn did, brought it back. And that's when I was in college. So I was like living at the comic book store to get my hands on anything that Zahn did and anything that Dark Horse put out.
He's still so active, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because what was the most recent thing that he came out with?
3 Thrawn books.
Yeah, he's got another one coming, doesn't he?
Yeah, the 3rd one's coming out soon.
Nice. Yeah, I think I think a large part, and we're diving in real quick. Okay, first of all, what's your background? Like, what are we going to be bouncing stuff off of you, and why? I want to hear this.
Yeah.
What do you
We got
do?
music. I got music. This is great. Bring the music back. Bring the
The music's here. The music's here. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no silence, no dead air.
So I'm a clinical psychologist by background. My trade is forensic and neuropsychology, which is some real fancy words I'm throwing out. But basically, it's talking about the connection between brain and behavior. And then I would often get in front of a judge, jury, and courtroom and talk about all that stuff. So, I can talk about fandom. I've done a lot of that. NBC has asked me to help them with articles on what happens to our brain when we watch football and things of that nature. So, there's a lot of similarities between those two things. And, Star Wars is really fascinating. And it's fascinating now because of how polarizing it is, because you really have 3 generations, 3 distinct, you have my generation who grew up with it in its original pure form, before special editions and all of that.
Pure.
Yeah. And that was not an accident. So give me more of those air quotes. And then you had, Cody, you grew up with the prequels, right?
Yeah, this guy.
And Mopar, you guys were prequel era people.
Yeah.
And now, my kid, my son is now growing up in the sequel era. So it's interesting that you have these multiple generations that are experiencing a franchise, but everybody experiences it very differently, which is really cool.
Well, okay.
We all get to duke it out together, too.
No. I'm going to get into it right fucking now. From my point of view, I think everything's so tied into, quote, the good old days. This is how I grew up. This is why I like Star Wars. And then naturally things evolve. And I'm not saying for a better or for worse, but things progress, things change. And you get to the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, and we get that set of Star Wars. What's happening in that era?
Yeah.
And it was a very technological, brand new, fresh.
Yeah. Very focused on world building.
World building, very connected.
Leveraging that new technology.
Yeah. So we see that built into the universe that's played out in Star Wars. And now we're starting to get even a different one where it's almost,
I would say very character driven.
very character driven, but it's almost connected in a humane way. Like you feel Kylo and Rey, and you can understand each side. Like, it's weird that I almost I understand Kylo. He's supposed to be the evil villain, but I know where he's coming from, and I understand his ways and all this. Darth Vader, I thought he was a fucking psychopath robot at first.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter. Like, there is no... Like, if you sit there and watch episode 4 and 5, you're like, oh, he's just an evil
He's
fuck.
the bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
There's no insight.
Now we got into a point where, and it might be another part of it is an evolution of film where Star Wars has set up so much and so much.
That's a big part of it.
So much expectations.
Yeah.
But things change and twist throughout.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, I guess build off or tear down what I said.
From a certain point of view.
I'm a builder.
I'm a terror. Yeah, I think we have a strong character insight that we didn't usually get, especially back in the 70s and 80s. Like Vader was just a bad guy. He's the enemy of the movie. That's it. But now with Kylo Ren is like, oh, he's kind of the enemy, but we kind of feel what he's going through. And I kind of understand what his struggle is. And we get some background, and he like is very conflicted with what he's done, and now Rey pops into his life, and like he doesn't really know how to handle it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get mind fucked here in 9. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think they're holding a lot back.
Yeah.
But so from a certain point of view, what do you think?
What do you think?
As Luke famously said, amazing. Everything you said was completely wrong. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of what you said does have merit. I think certainly filmmaking has changed, obviously, right?
Yeah.
The way they approach storytelling is very different. But I also think that, and I think Lucas said this himself, he expected episode 4 to be a colossal failure. He fled the country when the movie actually released. And so in his mind, he wasn't going to have a canvas of as many movies and platforms as he wanted to develop characters. So I don't know that I fault the story for that. I do think, from a standpoint of storytelling, I will say this. I think that what Lucas did with Luke's journey, and to a point Anakin's journey through the prequels, I think is more connected thus far to the fabric of what Joseph Campbell referred to as the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar? Yeah. So like you can break the hero's journey down very easily for Luke, and you can do it across episode 4, or you could do it across, all, episodes 4, 5, and 6. A lot harder to do that for Rey. Like, I don't really know what Rey's hero's journey is. And maybe we'll get it after the 9th movie comes out, So for all of the criticisms that many people have of these sequel era movies, it's kind of like, Empire Strikes Back really left everybody hanging, and everybody was like, what the hell, when that movie ended. Most people look back on that and say episode 5 was the peak of Star Wars, the best movie. For me, it was. For me, Empire is far and away the best Star Wars movie that's ever been made. So, perhaps episode 8 will make more sense once we see how JJ fixes all the horrible things in episode 9, right?
Yeah.
So
I got to push back on Rey though. We had an episode after you read the hero's journey format, and we talked literally Luke and Rey parallel side by side, and how their journey through 7 and 8 versus 4 and 5 fit almost perfectly into the story of the hero's journey.
Yeah, and actually, I don't remember that exact conversation, but I yesterday when I was watching it, and I was watching Luke and Rey interact, I'm like, all right, both from dust ship planets.
Yep.
Both were very hands-on, new. I mean,
technical stuff, scavenger,
technologically savvy. They got into something and they really didn't know what they were getting into. There's so many similarities.
They had some power inside them they didn't really understand.
Yes, but Luke had this defining moment. The moment in episode 4 where Luke sees Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru all toasty and crispy. That was it. That was the moment where he decided he was going to start this new adventure. And I don't think Rey has had that defining moment of tragedy to where out of that fire was born. I mean, I don't, that she stood in front of this cave of mirrors,
I guess the closest thing I would say in 7 is when she has the vision of the lightsaber.
Whoa.
And then Maz explains to her, the people you're waiting for are never coming back, and then it finally clicks.
Well, that, along with the only person she ever connected to was Han Solo, and she watches him get murdered by his own son.
Yeah, well, and that lines up exactly with Obi-Wan being killed by Vader in front of Luke.
Yeah. See, so we're all wrong. Everything's great.
I gotta make a quick shout out. We have our boy Jammy is back on the Patreon, back in the chat right now, and Nicole Serrano, who we haven't seen for so long.
Welcome the fuck back.
Thanks, friends.
We're proving an elder wrong here live on camera here.
The Jedi archives are incomplete.
Well, how much do you think is tied back into just nostalgia? Because I guess let me vet this out real quick. You got into Star Wars for a certain reason, whatever it may be. Darth Vader was cool. I like the pew pews, the ships, everything at the time. It just felt right. And then Commander and I get into Star Wars. Everything's Star Wars. It's a big umbrella.
Yeah.
But I might be on the complete right side of Star Wars,
totally.
and you might be on the complete left, non-politically. I'm just saying, we all got into Star Wars for a different reason. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the pull apart of the fandom right now. I got into it because Anakin Skywalker is a psychopath, and Ewan McGregor is the greatest Obi-Wan I've ever seen.
Right.
But a lot of people be like, first of all, stop. He's not the best Obi-Wan. But when I think Obi-Wan, it's him.
Yeah.
How much so? I guess my question is, how much is tied back into just nostalgia? And it was your first thing to expand your mind in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as simple as nostalgia for a lot of reasons. Yes, obviously, and certainly there was intentionality with episode 7 to have a ton of callbacks to the original trilogy. You know, and when the prequels came out, there was a ton of blowback. You know, people hated Jar Jar Binks, rightfully so, and there was a lot that people disliked. And now with hindsight, people are like, yeah, the prequels aren't so bad. You know, so there is that kind of member of the prequels. Like, people get that, and I think that that's good. But it's more than that. So, for example, you know, in my case, it was something that it was like this transgenerational thing. And it's like sports. You have people, you know, you guys are in Columbus. So you have people, not so much with the Blue Jackets because they're relatively new in the spectrum of things, but you have people that have been Buckeye fans for 150 years, essentially in your community, right? And so it's not just that you remember, oh, how cool, you know, having a toy lightsaber was when you were a kid. You have this connection to it's something more, something like your dad watched it with you, or you grew up, you know, it was
communal. You're a part of something.
Yeah.
So there's this other piece to it that I think runs in parallel with nostalgia.
I just think
It's so hard to define.
I guess my point is nostalgia, whether be it Star Wars or something else, overhypes itself.
I agree 100%. We call it the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we'll go back and watch something and be like, dude, I love this. I haven't heard about this since I was 10, and I fucking loved it. And you rewatch it and be like,
it sucks.
I was an idiot.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
I'll talk mad praises about something that I used to love as a kid, as if it was the best thing ever made, and then finally go back and watch it after 20 years and just cringe the whole time.
Dude, it's like playing. This isn't a good.
It's a terrible analogy, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Well, it's like going back and playing the original Pokemons for the Game Boy. Like that. Like, first of all, it was groundbreaking. It was great. It brought all of us together. It was a very communal thing. And then when you try to play the new ones, while they're better, quicker, easier to play, and more exciting, I'll always shit on it because it's just like, but that's not my Pokemon.
Oh,
If there's only 150 in my mind.
Oh, yeah. There's only 151. Everything after that is garbage. Fuck this new kids. Keemon.
But as soon as you plug in a new one, you're like, wow, they actually do different moves, and there's color. There's color. I can see different colors and shit.
Know.
So I think the nostalgic factor is huge no matter what we're talking about. Especially when you're talking about something that started before we were born.
Yeah.
Like how there's such a disconnect already built into that. Like, we have no idea how it feels to walk in and be like, Star Wars Episode 4. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's erased. It's impossible to have that now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's pissed about it, though.
Jamie wants to know why we're shit talking Pokemon. We're not. We're shit talking 152 and beyond.
We're shit talking to people that like Pokemon still.
Yes. Like me, like myself.
I'm kidding.
No, just screwing around. So yeah, I guess my main question, like fandom wise, is why, and Star Wars and across the board, anything that we liked as a kid that's still going on. Same with comics, new comic movies and everything. Why are we so resistant to something that's new and tied to the franchise that we know, but is taken in a different direction? Like, why are we so intrinsically hateful of that stuff? And I'm not saying we, I'm saying you. Why do you hate that so much?
I mean, I intrinsically hate you, Cody. But
That's natural.
Release your anger.
You should be right next to him. Jesus.
Gives you focus, makes you
I
stronger.
could shoot lightning through my screen. I would do so right now. Look, you know, these are two. There's a question of, do we hate something because it's different from what we remember in the sense of a movie, or is it reasonable to criticize something? I think what's different now is that if you can't criticize something now without warriors coming to the defense of it, no matter what side you're on. And so, you know, when there are some very valid criticisms of all of this, of the prequels, of the original trilogy, of the sequel trilogy, like there just are.
Yeah.
And, you know, so for me, I don't think that you can just say, and, you know, with all due respect to Rian Johnson or whoever comes next, like, I don't know any of these guys, obviously, and I have never spent a day of my life in film school. But, you know, I watched that movie as a fan, and I saw a lot of missed opportunities. For one, I saw, you know, the Canto Bite scene was stupid and what an opportunity to bring in Lando instead of Del Toro, who did a great job. You could have had Lando there. That would have made sense perhaps a little bit more. I would have liked to see Leia, since she was dead in real life, be the one who pilots the starship into the Dreadnought.
That's a weird... I'm sorry to cut you off. I'd never really even thought about that option.
I thought we had mentioned it. It's just weird because it was obviously done before she passed away. So in hindsight, that would be badass for her as the actor and as the character to go out.
Of glory, you know?
But all at the same time, why the fuck would Princess, Senator, goddamn General Leia pilot that ship?
No one would let her do
Send BB-8 through that fucker right now because
leave 3PO on the goddamn ship. Push this one button and kill yourself.
And I guess in all fairness, you know, they've done a very good job. The story group has, you know, like I don't read all the novels like I used to back in the day, but I did read the one Leia, Princess of Alderaan, because I was bored and I just read it. And so you get to see much more of that character fleshed out with the Laura Dern character with the colorful hair. I don't even remember her name. That's how memorable she was.
Holdo.
Holden. Yeah,
that's just because you only saw the movie once.
Whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got those kind of characters that don't really, that I felt that was a wasted opportunity. And again, you know, now here's where the nostalgia piece is what really pissed people off. So people who are of my generation have been waiting since 1986. So 30 something years for the triumphant return of Luke Skywalker. He was a whiny bitch.
All right.
He was a whiny bitch in the first three.
Whoa. Stop right there. Because we're jumping also 30 some years in the timeline. Before he became a whiny bitch in 8, he brought back the goddamn Jedi, had a Jedi temple on a planet, and was the Grand Master that he was in the Legends books. So let's not act like that still can't exist.
Yeah.
No, he can exist, and they can tell those stories, and they have, you know, between, you know, the Disney streaming service, whatever they call it, and comic books and novels, like they can go there if they choose to. But that hadn't been given to people, so the expectations.
That's on those people. Though.
Yeah, the expectations are completely on the viewer. Because
That's right, absolutely. But I would venture a guess, as an unscientific guess, but if you went to the average Star Wars fan who had grown up with the original trilogy, that is not how they were expecting Luke Skywalker to be portrayed. I can't fathom that.
I can understand that, but what I would say in response is that it's now Rey and Kylo Ren's storyline
for sure.
And Luke has a role to play, and he can be a mentor, and we get a little hint of...
And I think there'll be more of that in episode 9, you know, as a Force ghost or flashbacks,
I think
whatever they do.
Yeah.
And that'll be cool. But I think people who were aggravated by the movie have every right to be aggravated by the movie, just as those people who love the shit out of it have the right to love the shit out of it.
But I would say they can be aggravated that they didn't get the Luke that they wanted. They can't be aggravated at the movie because it wasn't a bad movie.
Well, okay. Whoa. I think you're digging into a lot too much right here. So I guess what I would say, just let's focus on Luke.
Bring me back to the surface.
Let's focus on Luke. Just because he didn't meet your expectations doesn't mean he still can't be cool. So I think that's the disconnect. Like let's just say, for example, I want Grandmaster Luke. I want him to be fucking wise as fuck. I want him to be Yoda 2.0. And that's what I expect. You walk in and this is what we got.
Right.
A broken Luke.
Right.
Why, just because it didn't match up with your expectations, is it now shit?
But you guys just proved my point about society today and where we are in the social media. Cody, you just said just because Luke wasn't whatever doesn't mean it it's a bad movie.
Right.
Well, who are you or anybody else to say a movie is good or bad, except the person who
that's an opinion. Yeah,
that's technically true.
Right, it's an opinion. So I think here's where we're so different, and this goes for sports, and this goes for all movies. I mean, we're seeing this with the Ghostbusters movie and the remake. Like people's opinions now are in a public sphere like they've never been before, and are lightning rods because like attracts like. I mean, this is something. When I was in graduate school, I did my doctoral dissertation on the impact that the internet has on personality functions. That's kind of my bag.
Jeez.
And what was really interesting is that we have, because of this this 24-hour information cycle that we self-create and we self-perpetuate. We are, as a society, less open to differences now than we've ever been.
I'm offended. Everybody listen. You're like, wait, no one cares.
Yeah.
And also you're wrong because this and this.
But then it fuels
that's part
itself,
of
though.
what feeds into all of this. That's part of what feeds into the fandom tearing itself to pieces. And you have now these two polarized sides saying, this movie is shit and, only these are good, because you'll go online and you're going to go and find people, and people are going to find you that share the same opinion you have. And so now you have this, in psychology, we refer to this as confirmation bias, that you're basically getting information fed to you to support the idea that you believe, whether it's accurate or whether it's a cognitive distortion, to use another one of our fun $5 words. And so, but that works on both sides, right? So, and then you also have the anonymity of the internet. So you can have these flame wars and people can go wild on each other, feeling like, if you're really disgusted with something, you may or may not actually say to somebody's face what you would have the balls to say on a message board, right? Or on Twitter or something like that.
100%.
So that's also an element that didn't exist during the first two set of trilogies, which is really interesting. I mean, I guess technically by the time episode 3 came out, that was 2005. So we had some of it, like, we had social media,
forums mainly and stuff back then.
Forums, and I think MySpace was the big thing in 2005. So it existed, but not like today. It didn't have the proliferation that it does today. So it's just very different. It's such a complex question to unpack because there's so many distinct elements that influence the question that just didn't exist 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane.
All I'm saying is the holiday special did exist and no one takes that
what?
That was the second
holiday special.
That was the second Star Wars thing that ever happened.
No one likes that, though.
First of all, no.
Why are you mad?
Because I get fired up. I'm just saying that we see Star Wars, and then you're like, oh my god, what the fuck's gonna happen? And you get Star Wars holiday special, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Why?
Where are you going with this, though?
Everything's shit. Star Wars sucks. That's all I'm saying. It's just from a certain point of view. I was this age when I saw it, so it's great. And you're that age now, and you're wrong.
I am of the era that saw the holiday special, and it was the worst piece of shit that has ever been made. So I don't think that there's no nostalgia for that. I mean, shit is shit. Like that was Arthur and the Love Day song. I mean, it was ungodly.
But I do think there's an aura around the original trilogy. Like, it's untouchable. Like, you can't critique it. And then you start, if you are a human being,
I agree.
you can Google shit like the original episode 5 Empire Strikes Back, like, reviews, and then you're like, actually, people did not like that. Right. It was actually heavily criticized when it came out. And like Lord Wrong over here said, It left you hanging. It left you hanging just as much as episode 8. Now I do agree. I think episode 8 and episode 5 are complete. I think they're almost so different. They're the same. Like, they jump around so much. They don't actually spell out what exactly is happening, and they are very up and down.
Yeah.
You go see a fucking space pimp, and now he's living in the fucking clouds, and Darth Vader is there with Boba Fett, and you're like, oh, I saw that ass hat from the holiday special. He was blue, but anyways, and then you see Luke sucking on fucking megalodon tits, and you're like, all right, I know this stuff happens in the Star Wars universe. First of all, why do I need to see it?
Yeah.
What point are you? What emotion are you trying to evoke here? Like, are you trying to say, okay, Luke's a man of the land because he's a farmer? He grew up as a farmer, and him being near the sea, he's sucking every tit he can get.
There's also just some weird shit in Star Wars.
What the hell are you talking about?
I guess my point is, every Star Wars film, I don't care who you are, every Star Wars film has bad stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like,
agreed. I mean, they all do. But the difference is, and I don't know that the original trilogy is untouchable, but I think it was so groundbreaking in so many ways, and it was the foundation of so many things.
Yeah.
That people hold it to a higher degree of reverence, because it's like
That's it, exactly.
it's the genesis of all of it.
So
Right.
I guess that's a good point. Do you think that because everything else caught up to Star Wars, that now it's more difficult for Star Wars to be on its own pedestal? Like, you already pushed the boundaries, soundtrack, special effects, all this stuff in the 70s and 80s, and then now you're barely living up to your own boundaries that you pushed. We got all these Marvel movies and DC movies that are like fucking flashy and stuff.
I would disagree.
I disagree as well. I mean, even I remember to pull back some more childhood fun. When I was watching Return of the Jedi for the first time live in '83, there was no point in my viewing where I would turn to my family and said, "Wow, boy, the shading on those lasers really look amazing." Like, it was, it was about the story. I think it was so immersive, and you were rooting for those characters so much that, that's what carried those films. I mean, Return of the Jedi wasn't even a great movie. It was uneven. The Ewoks, were only a merchandising element. They originally was supposed to be Kashyyyk, which would have made more sense. So as the movies go, I mean, I think most purists would put Return of the Jedi kind of down the ladder. I mean, I think Episode 3 was better than Return of the Jedi.
Ooh.
I like
yeah.
Rogue One more than Return of the Jedi, a lot more than Return of the Jedi.
Of course you do.
Because he's correct. He's a doctor.
Right? But
Very nice.
yeah, you're a class act, man.
No, I'm saying I agree. Because I have Rogue One. I have Rogue One and Episode 3 very high on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good movies. But even then, like, so here's something funny about Rogue One. Like, everybody went ape shit when they didn't put the text on the screen, but you knew it was Mustafar, right? And so it's funny because everybody hated on the prequels for
I hate the new movies. Are going to come back around in the future.
He just said he loves Rogue One.
No, I'm just saying, like Episode 7 and 8, for example.
I didn't dislike Episode 7.
Okay, good. So just
I liked Episode 7.
But just as a general reference, like, if there was a lot of backlash about the prequels, but when you come back around 10 years later, everyone's freaking out about it. They love the Clone Wars. They want to see Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan in the cartoons. They want to see Mustafar and all these things.
That's a little different. And I will say this, like, and now having a kid who I can go and watch these movies with, as I rewatch Episodes 1, 2, and 3, there's stuff that just makes me cringe. And every time Jake Lloyd opens his mouth, 2, every time Jar Jar opens his mouth. But I will tell you that by the time they are off of when they have rescued Palpatine off of Grievous's Star Destroyer, whatever they called that thing, that movie is some of the best Star Wars that has ever been made.
It's almost like you see the peaks of the Jedi, you see the peak of the Republic, you see the peak of the Sith. Everything's coming to a head. So Episode 3 is just like creamology. Stop.
Creamology.
It's culmination. It is. I have no.
It's culmination of everything.
Yeah, I have nothing to say bad about that.
And that's a weird thing to say because, like, the original trilogy, you built up like what everything came from. Like, these are the remnants of the good times. We even talk about all the Clone Wars and the Jedi and more civilized age and all this shit.
Yeah.
And then we fucking get the more civilized age.
Yeah.
And we start. I think the prequels were underappreciated because of the because of the issues people had with it. Jar Jar, the obvious stuff, bad acting, bad lines. There's a lot of stuff built in there that obviously could push you away and you'd be like, I can't do this. But if you sit through it and actually take in what it was good, like the galaxy building of it, they really pushed on the aliens, the creatures, all the species, the ships. We're seeing Naboo starfighters. We're seeing pod racing. We're seeing all this shit, and you're like,
back on Tatooine, the battle at the end,
dude. Yeah. It's you. Then you start really. All right, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
All right, fuck Jar Jar. I get it. But then you watch the rest of it, and you're like, this is actually really good.
Well, I watched a YouTube video about initial reactions to Episode 1 based on like past forum actual forum posts and comments, and I feel like it was very positive initially. And then people saw it again and again and again, and then started to like let it like ruminate on it, and then compare it to the original trilogy, and that's where it really started to go downhill. Like initial reactions were like, "Fucking A, it's Star Wars."
All right, okay, I'm kind of backtracking, but all right, let's say I got into Star Wars for the characters. You got into Star Wars because, I don't know.
I wouldn't even say it because
building.
of a particular element. I would say because you saw it at this particular time in this particular place. Don't you think?
But I think there had to have been a spark. I know how we hate that word, but there had to have been a spark that said something inside that's like, "Whoa, I'm into this." Whether it was it could have been a trailer to a movie. It could have been a video game that you're playing, and you're like, a fucking lightsaber. What is this laser sword? If we're gonna get into it, but like, oh my god, and I can block stuff, and I'm like almost impenetrable. Like, oh yes, what's more? What is there? Oh, there's 3 movies, and then there's 3 more coming out, and you're like, yes, just give it all. Or was it, dude? Darth Vader looks like a fucking devil. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Or was it like, I can relate to Rey because I'm a little white girl or something? I'm just saying, there's 1 million reasons why people get into Star Wars, and there's 1 million reasons why people like Star Wars.
Yeah.
So why am I going to sit here and say the original
Somebody's
trilogy
reason is invalid?
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
We're arguing over nothing. Your opinion's wrong because you're not me. Well, you're right because I'm not you, and your opinion, like, it's all a bunch of shit. We're all Star Wars fans.
I know. It's hard to remember that sometimes.
No,
That's what I want to get to the root of. Like, I feel like there is a community here, but because of how heated things can be, especially on Twitter, online, especially with the new movies and how they're different than the other ones, it's easy to forget that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking forward to Celebration for that reason.
I think something like Celebration does bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Because whether you loved Episode 8 or hated it, if you're a big Star Wars fan, you're going to goddamn Celebration.
Yeah.
And you're gonna look at the Darth Mauls walking around and you'll be like, fuck yeah. You're gonna look at the fat ass Kiras and be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be looking at all of it. Stop it.
You're gonna look at Alden Ehrenreich, be like, yeah,
Yeah, baby.
yeah, baby.
I don't know. So I guess let's get into the
Thoughts on that, man?
So, well, thoughts on what?
Just I don't know. Do you have any response or
Is there any
follow up to that?
Is there any
I
culmination?
really haven't been paying attention for the last 10 minutes. No, I think, yes. I mean, the celebration is awesome because it's in that moment everybody is kind of forgetting their little cliques that they feel that they fit into. It's just Star Wars, and the issue with this Star Trek video boy fan, the video game fanboys, the Sony people versus the Xbox people, like it's all kind of the same stuff, right? Like we assign importance to this, reverence to this, almost to a religious degree. In some ways, I think, obviously, like there are people in the world that are Jedis for real, like that's their religion. Like there are people who speak Klingon.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. Like, I mean, the fandom, and there's extremes, right? Like, there are people who live their life and they're like, yeah, cool. A new movie's coming out. I'm going to go see it. I'm going to take my kids, awesome. And then there are people that live, eat, breathe it, sleep it, worship it. I think, again, the danger is twofold, is that one, what was previously a fringe element for, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, it is what it is. Those people can now come to light in ways that they couldn't otherwise because the internet enables everybody to have a voice in ways that nobody could. And it also offers the safety and protection. Like if you were at a Star Wars convention, if you went to a celebration and you felt really strongly about Episode 8 and how good or bad it was, I kind of referenced this earlier, you would never probably, unless the person was much smaller than you, say the kind of shit to people to their face that you would have the balls to say over the safety that the internet provides.
Yeah.
That you could be sitting 1,000 miles away and just absolutely attack people with no consequences whatsoever. So I think that's a huge part of it, that yes, we're all Star Wars fans, we all come at this from a different perspective, but I think it's okay to not like something And who am I to tell you what you should like, and who are you to tell me what I should like? But that's
true.
the difference. The difference is that people feel empowered to, attack opinions that are different than their own.
I guess the only thing I would say in response to that is that sometimes it makes me sad that people that are fans of Star Wars can't look past a few elements in the new stuff to really get into it. Like, I feel like there's a lot there. I'm not talking about you specifically or anybody in particular. Just if you didn't like 7 and 8 for whatever reason, I feel like there is a lot there to love if you are a fan of the Star Wars universe. And I don't want things like Luke wasn't what you expected to put you off of really getting into the new canon.
Well,
and then not even like that you should or shouldn't. It's just like I want everybody to enjoy that because I think it's enjoyable.
But like if you watch the original trilogy and Luke was the reason why you like Star Wars, and then you see Luke in 8 and you're like, wait, that's not my Luke.
I suppose,
not my Luke.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ignition. I almost said the other word.
Jamie has an offensive comment here. He says, well, I just lost it because the chat went away. He said something along the lines of, off of what you said, that we're all Star Wars fans. He said, no, not everybody's a Star Wars fans. There are people that are fans of the original trilogy, and then there's Star Wars fans.
But the original trilogy is everybody.
Like if you only like 4, 5, and 6, that's not a Star Wars fan. That's kind of what Jamie just said.
That's bullshit.
All right, whoa. I think this is okay. I don't agree.
I'm paraphrasing, so Jamie, if I'm wrong, please.
Yeah, no.
respond.
I think
Jamie is a Sith Lord confirmed. Yes.
This is gonna sound weird, but
Yes.
not that I agree with him at by any means, but I'm trying to think of the dynamic there, because there was nothing before the original trilogy. There was nothing based. I mean, that was the start. So everybody else, like I said earlier, has zero idea of how it feels to watch the original trilogy. Like you, I don't care who you are. I could have a son, keep him in a box for 10 years, and then show him episode 4. And he still somehow is going to see a lightsaber, see something, build a Lego. I mean, there's going to be something small, and he's going to be like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to act like we understand what the original trilogy originals have experienced.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because everything else, just because everything else was shit in the 70s doesn't mean the original trilogy was the greatest thing of all time.
Alien came out in the 70s.
My point exactly.
I think his point is that if you only like 3 out of 10 movies, that makes you a fan of those 3 movies and not the universe as a whole.
And that's a very strong point, but it's still Star Wars.
I know.
It's still Star Wars. And actually,
I think I've made that same point in the past, but I would probably rescind a little bit.
I mean, isn't that kind of like saying I hate to get religious, but that's almost like saying if you're only a fan of the Old Testament that you don't believe.
Yeah, it is
kind of close. It's like I don't know. I think that again, I can be a fan. Like I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on this show. I like Star Trek too. Star Trek Voyager was the absolute worst garbage that has ever been produced.
Mm-hmm.
I can dislike Star Trek Voyager in its entirety and still be a fan of Star Trek in general.
That's true.
I don't know that with all due respect to whoever put that in the chat box. I don't know. I think that you can. Star Wars is Star Wars.
So I don't think the fact that people try to break it up, and the fact that we're even talking about it broken up, is kind of weird, actually. All right. Well, Commander just quit the podcast. He can't handle it. He really enjoys episode 8.
I think he has explosive diarrhea. I don't know what's going on.
Something is running down his leg. Confirmed. I guess when we're talking about Star Wars as a whole, I think that even means something different to everybody. When I say Star Wars to you, you probably think original trilogy first, and then there's everything else that trickles down from there. When someone says Star Wars to me, honestly, it's the Star Wars games that I played throughout the 90s. I played TIE Fighter. I played Knights of the Old Republic in the early thousands. Those were the games that actually got me into Star Wars. So it wasn't even...
So that makes the conversation even more complex, because now Star Wars isn't just movies anymore. Star Wars is novels. Star Wars is comics. Star Wars is toys. Star Wars is multimedia, the video games. So, it makes it it adds another layer of complexity to what defines Star Wars. Yeah,
it's gotten to a ridiculous... It's so frustrating because there's so much Star Wars to love. There really is. If you like goddamn IG-88, who had 10 seconds of screen time, there's a series and a fucking game about him. There's books and comics and everything. You could love Star Wars just liking IG-88.
I like IG-88.
Well, he's kind of fucking badass. That's why you like him.
Yeah.
He's actually arguably more badass than Boba Fett. We just confirmed IG-88's better than Boba Fett.
Sorry,
I didn't say
watch
that.
all the
You
prequels
said
on
that.
ludicrous speed.
He confirmed. Don't listen to him right now, but
Yeah,
Don't
he's
listen to
lying.
what?
he's lying. He's a liar.
I'm a liar.
But we were talking about the grand scheme of what Star Wars has become. It started as movies.
Yeah.
And now we got books, games, fucking comics, we got toys, we got all this stuff. It's become such a multimedia thing
Yeah.
that you could get into Star Wars, and my argument was, I hate Star Wars. The only thing I liked was IG-88. But guess what? There's a goddamn comic series. There's games. He's involved in all this stuff, and you could enjoy so much media on just one character that you like
Yeah.
that it could be ridiculous. You could be overwhelmed. And then you're like, that's my Star Wars. IG-88's my Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the best part about it, I think.
I think that too. That is the best part about it.
Yeah.
You can pick one fucking thing. That's six.
This is like Kumbaya. This is the moment, right? This is this moment we're all in agreement.
Yep, and let me take my pants off. This is getting sexy real quick, baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Jamie's pissed over here in the chat.
Uh-oh.
He's pissed.
That's
What is
all
he
right.
saying? What do you got, Jamie?
I don't know if I want to say it.
What does he say?
You can't
Whoa.
call yourself a Star Wars fan if you hate everything after 1986.
I mean, there is value to that, but at the same time, dude,
Who cares?
the
But
original
that's also
trilogy.
drawing a line, right? Isn't that's drawing the line? That's saying I'm making the value statement that you can't be X because I perceive Y. That's what's happening there.
I would more so say you can hate everything after 86, but if you're trying to prevent people from liking what came after that, that's where the issue really lies.
But that's what Jamie's doing. Jamie's saying you're not a real fan.
Yeah, Jamie, what the hell, bro?
Jamie,
Yeah,
Jamie.
I don't even know you, Jamie.
Come back into the Patreon and you with this bullshit.
Let's get Jamie on. but like, isn't that the point? Like, it works both sides. There's two exact sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You know, for somebody to say, you know, you're not a true Star Wars fan if you don't like Episode 8, bullshit. Like, you know, we have the right to like whatever the hell we want in whatever way we like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
No, I completely agree. I think the best thing that's ever come out of Star Wars is Knights of the Old Republic, the Revan series, and we get nothing out of it.
Yep.
It doesn't even exist anymore.
I was gonna say it's Legends now,
Right.
and
The canon is gone. Yeah.
yeah,
But
hasn't had
it's
shit
crazy that could even be. That's crazy that I can be a human being and sit
That's
here
a
and
great
say.
thing you brought up too, because remember how people went ape shit when Lucas Books made that announcement that everything, all the Zahn stuff, everything. I had read everything, with the exception of like the Vong stuff that came out and it got kind of wonky after that. But like up to that point, I had read every single Star Wars novel that had come out because that was like continuing Star Wars. Like I couldn't get enough of that. And when that happened, at a cognitive level, at a rational level, I understood that. I was like, yeah, you know, they're making these new movies. They kind of need to get their story group in order, and it makes sense just to make a clean sweep. Like what they're going to do, you know, you're going to see Fox X-Men fans lose their shit when Marvel announces that Hugh Jackman's gone, and
right.
everybody, like everything that's happened in every Fox, you know, X-Men movie doesn't exist anymore. You know that's coming.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
for sure.
When that happened with the Star Wars novels, people went bananas. And I get it, you know, like again, like at a rational level, I was like, I get it. But I'm just like, man, you know, these stories I read meant they were so great. And now they don't exist anymore, you know. And
but they do.
Great.
Let's not act like they don't exist.
They exist, but they don't. It's like an Elseworlds thing, you know. Like they're not part of the. Come on, it's like a minor league thing compared to.
No,
I mean, we were pissed at first.
Whoa.
We were really mad at first.
First of all, let's just say, because I think you were upset. You said you were upset with how
I
they
was.
how
I was
they
upset. But I got over it, you know. I mean, it didn't ruin my life. But,
well,
I mean,
yeah, but like you were upset of how they portrayed Luke in 8.
Well, that, yeah,
probably,
sure.
and I'm assuming based off of the novels that you read of how Luke was in the Legends now.
Right, because he was a badass in the Legends.
See, I thought he was a psychopath that could do whatever the fuck he wants. He became God Luke, and when I see episode 8, I'm like, thank not God that he's a fucking human.
Thank
that
the
he,
maker.
He fucks
Thank
up.
the maker.
Yeah.
He fucks up just like Luke. I'm sorry, just like Yoda. Obi-Wan fucks up. All the good guys fuck up. Why is God Luke? I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong or
I
right.
don't think it's God Luke.
He was using Force goddamn lightning on people. He went to the dark side for a fucking vacation. I had enough of this shit. He's like, I'll try this shit on because I got nothing else to do.
Black Cloak.
Force choke and kill everything. I wasn't. It was just a weekend. Las Vegas.
Let me come back. Las Vegas. What happens on Coruscant? What happens on Nar Shaddaa?
I'm just saying, no matter what your mindset is, I think there's a way to like Star Wars. I don't care where you're from, who you are, what your parents are, if they were junkers or goddamn speed racers.
Everybody hug it out.
Everybody
Big
hug it out.
Star Wars hug.
And I think that's what, if we had more face-to-face time with people, like if we could talk about Star Wars reasonably, like on a podcast or something like this, instead of, one person makes a YouTube video with one point and the other person has to watch it and then make a YouTube video with the counterpoint.
Can somebody commit to giving Jamie a hug?
Jammy. We love you, Jammy.
Jammmy. Jammy.
Jamie needs a hug.
Jammy.
Big episode 4 Star Wars hug.
No, a big episode 1 Star Wars hug, bro.
You know what we're gonna do right now?
Big sloppy Gungan hug.
Kiss.
What are we gonna do right now?
You know what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go through each movie and say what we like and what we dislike.
It's like an icebreaker. Like,
It
I want
is
you to
an
say one good thing and one bad thing.
It is an icebreaker because, like we said earlier, I don't care if you're the biggest Star Wars fan of all time. Each movie has your like, what the fuck was that? Stop that.
Yeah.
But I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So, would you, with all the honors, would you like to start from episode 1, or do you want to go in a human?
I mean, I think we could probably do them in chronological order because we've all seen these movies, and from a story continuity standpoint, that probably makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so begin with episode 1 then.
Episode 1. The best part of episode 1 and the worst part.
Would you say best and worst? Would you say one thing you love, one thing you hated? Because best and worst is subjective, yeah?
No, that's what I want is your
best and worst? Okay.
best and worst.
All right. I'll tell you what I loved about episode 1, and it gave me goosebumps when I saw it in the theater. When Darth Maul pulled his hood back right before that final battle with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I remember the whole theater because I saw that opening night, like a midnight screening, and everybody gasped, like, whoa, like how badass Maul was.
And then the double lightsaber, you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I didn't know you could.
Too,
I didn't know you could do that.
Nobody had seen. Well, they ruined it in the trailers actually, so we did know. But yeah, that was pretty amazing. That was really, for me, that was the coolest moment of the film, and I was actually, in that, like, really at the edge of my seat, like wondering what was going to happen. Now, what fucked it up for me, and this is a good lesson for anybody who likes movies, I actually had picked up the soundtrack before I saw episode 1. It went on sale on Star Wars Day when all the merchandise went on sale. And track like 11 was called Qui-Gon's Noble Anthem. Son of a bitch.
That sucks.
So pissed.
Spoiler.
How did they not catch that? That sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I knew that he was going to die, and I was pretty aggravated.
Qui-Gon's death scene.
Main character dies.
Main character.
Track 11.
Track 11.
I mean, it was really quite aggravating. But
all right, so what do you hate then?
Whoa. Now this is gonna be a long fucking episode because this is great. So after everything's said, how do you feel about Maul completely as a character? And let's just keep it within the movies because he.
Okay, but you can't separate him now, I don't think, because like I'm influenced by his character development in Rebels and Clone Wars.
Okay.
So I don't view Maul the same way that I would have if I just viewed him, where he basically had 4 speaking lines. He was a badass fighter, and then he got cleaved in half.
Well, but just because they didn't Boba Fett him and kept him going. I have my issues with them keeping him going too. Why couldn't they bring someone else in or whatever?
But to your point, so to keep it to the movies, I mean, I thought he was cool, but I also recognized, and everybody recognized who saw episode 1, in the theater, that he was just a placeholder. That everybody knew You know, when Palpatine puts his hands on young Anakin and says, "We will watch your career with great interest." Everybody knows, right, what the ultimate outcome is, and I think that was part of the challenge of the prequels is that you already knew what the end was going to be before you saw the first second of that trilogy.
Well,
you might
even
not have known how it was going to wind up exactly, but you knew it was going to wind up with Vader in a suit. You knew it was going to wind up with, you know, Yoda in exile and Obi-Wan on Tatooine somehow.
well, even the episode 1 poster was little child Anakin with the Vader, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew, right?
Yeah.
You knew.
All right. I guess you want to go. You ready? What's your favorite part of episode 1?
Qui-Gon Jinn, I think.
See, I think a lot of people
And
would
I'm not
not
talking
say that,
a
but go ahead.
scene. I'm talking just in general. But yeah,
Are we
Qui-Gon.
doing,
I
are we
mean,
doing just in general, or are we doing scenes, or can we do whatever the hell we want? Like,
I think it's when you watch episode 1, if you're gonna rewatch it, like why? Why do you rewatch it? Because that's this. I want to see this.
yeah.
What's your favorite part of it? So
Yeah, I say Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, when people ask us our favorite Jedi, it's either between Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon. And I think Qui-Gon, a lot of that is because he goes against the grain. He goes against the Jedi Order. He is a little more rebellious. He talks more about the living force and less about like the politics and shit of the Jedi Order and of the Republic. So, you know, he's just dropping knowledge out this entire movie. And I love him, and I love Liam Neeson's portrayal of him as well. Do we do favorites, or do we do worst part yet?
no, not yet.
Oh, sorry. All right.
I'm gonna do my favorite, and I'm taking a fucking way back seat because I'm gonna be completely different. Not a character thing at all. I'm going action. I loved, especially as a kid seeing it, the fucking pod race was bananas.
Yep.
It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and even now I watched the Blu-ray, which is the extended. Oh my god, keep it fucking going. I love the pod race. The 4 battles at the end that are happening, all this action in the Naboo starfighters, and you got Darth Maul, and then you got the Queen running through the fucking bananas,
And
then
the Gungans and the
then the
droids.
Gungans are attacking the droids. There's so much action. The fact that they had a droid army out in this bitch, and their tanks coming in,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, this is the first time I've actually seen war in Star Wars. Get that through your fucking mind. To me, I'm sorry. But like when I watch 4, 5, and 6, I see a band against a death ball. I see Darth Vader against his son. And then in 6, we see a pile of shit try to throw someone down a sand vagina,
Yep.
and then
Some teddy bears.
and then some teddy bears. I think that's what the prequels did for me, was bring war to Star Wars. We finally see battles and space battles, and I mean, this is very loose because obviously there are space battles in episode 4.
Yeah.
We're doing a trench run. That's really cool. But I'm talking large scale. People are dying right fucking now, and it's not even, well, let's talk about when Queen Amidala says, "My people are dying," and we literally have seen 0 people die. But I think that was it. The battlefield, the action. I thought there's actually consequences going on in Star Wars all of a sudden. The good guys might fucking die. Boom, there goes Qui-Gon Jinn. You're like, what?
There's
I like
noble
that
end.
dude.
Qui-Gon's noble end.
Not only Qui-Gon, but Darth Maul. We got both sides of this
They
shit.
both noble ended.
So I think it was just the action. I think episode 1 was the action for me. And it's
Yes.
funny just because like the pod race, for how small that is, I fucking still love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's so cool.
Oh, it's amazing.
So I'm sorry. I went off because that's the reason why I watch episode 1.
Oh yeah.
I want to see the action. There's no character building. There's bad lines. Like you got Jar Jar fumbling around the whole fucking movie. Move that aside and let me see some blaster fire. I want to see a Queen Amidala fucking running into her throne room. Let's do this
I'm gonna
shit.
watch episode 1 tonight.
Yeah, I'm getting hard just thinking about it. Let's.
All right. So what'd you hate about it? Worst part.
Worst part of it.
The acting.
Yeah,
Across
that's
the acting was terrible.
sure. And even the big names. I'll just lump on. That's my least favorite because like Liam Neeson, even Ewan McGregor, like the lines were like, "What are you doing? You're a good actor. Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
It was bad. The only person I actually liked in the entire movie was Palpatine, because you're
Yeah.
just like, he's fluffy and likable, but he ain't. Stop
ain't
that
doing
shit.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna cop out and say Jar Jar. I think I can stomach some of the lines a lot better than I can stomach just dealing with him on screen. And that's obviously like the main complaint about that movie. So it's kind of a cop out, but at the same time, it's what it is.
Well, and that is a cop out. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't say something else. That's all.
What do you think I was going to say, Mopar?
The entire movie.
Yeah. I
The
hate that it's
directing
Star
is
Wars.
terrible. Wow.
The fact
okay.
that George Lucas directed it, I think is awful. He wrote it as well. Just embarrassing.
All right, let's run through these real quick.
Just kidding.
Episode 2, is there anything good?
Don't do that. Don't do this.
Go ahead.
I think the thing that I liked about it, there were parts of episode 2 I liked. I wouldn't say that I loved the movie, but it did a good job of building some key elements. You know, you had the beginning of the Clone Wars. I really like that end scene with the first time you hear the true Imperial March, and it shows all those clones being loaded into that version of Star Destroyers. I thought that was exceptional. I sure didn't like the droid factory or the factory scene.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
Good
really
point.
dumb, really dumb. But they did. And I didn't love the Sifo Dyas stuff, even though they kind of came back years later in the Clone Wars and tried to explain it. I didn't love that, but it was pretty neat to find out that Boba Fett was a clone. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
You know, so you got a little bit of that backstory, even though it wasn't much.
Yeah.
I think episode 2 is better than episode 1 in terms of direct, like pushing the story forward. You know, like you can, what is that thing called? The guerrilla viewing order of the trilogy, you know, where you
machete order.
Machete, excuse me, gorilla. Machete. Like, and it basically, the machete order says you can omit episode 1 because it really doesn't push the overall narrative forward. It really doesn't.
I prefer, and largely in part because of Commander, I prefer episode 1 over episode 2 now. But episode 2, I think what they did well is the development of Anakin. And I think that's a kind of a skew thing because his acting was still bad. A lot of the scenes he was in were still bad. The romance scenes were fucking horrific.
They were so terrible.
And we're talking about like 99% of what he's in is bad.
Yeah.
But you see him start questioning Obi. And you're like, that's not supposed to happen. You see him getting frustrated with Padme. That's not supposed to happen.
Right.
You see him murder sand people. That's not supposed to fucking happen.
Yeah.
And you start, I think the almost like the character development of him, even though it's through bad scenes, is the reason why I would watch episode 2.
You start to see him slipping. Yeah.
Oh, it's not just start. He slips like 4 or 5 times.
Totally.
He about fucks that pear that you see that thing? You're not supposed to fuck fruit. Stop fucking fruit, Anakin.
It's not natural, Anakin. What are you doing?
It's not an organic pear. You got to calm down.
I'm going to agree with Dr. Sith Lord on the worst part is the droid factory for sure. I can deal with, like, there's romance going on. It's a little cringy, but I can deal with it because I know where it's headed. But the droid factory is just a pointless action sequence for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing out of it. There's nothing out of it.
Cringe.
Like Canto Bite. What?
I half agree with you. On that one.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll get there.
Yeah.
It was kind of slow moving, but looking back on it, I like how mysterious things are. I like that Sifo Dyas is mentioned and we don't know who the fuck he is because the fact that the Jedi are supposed to be this pure order and something's wrong and it's because of the Jedi's mistake or he turned or something. I love that. I like the whole mystery air of the movie.
So, and not that I'm going to take back what I said, but Shinobi just reminded me that Yoda fucking fights Dooku, and this is the first time. And especially
cool.
As like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old, however old we were,
Yoda whip his
seeing
lightsaber out.
Yoda do that. Now,
With that little tiny lightsaber that was so
dude,
I know.
but like how athletic and agile he was, you're like, no wonder he's the fucking Jedi, fucking master core, you know. So but looking back now, it's kind of cringy. So it's weird how it hits you because that's exactly what I wanted to see as a fucking 12-year-old. Yoda, be a badass, live up to your title. And now you're like...
I think the fight's not cringy.
No, and I agree. I think the action is
it's just more so... Looking back on it, watching 5 and watching 8, I almost think that Yoda shouldn't have a lightsaber at all. At that point in his life.
But
you know what I mean?
That was his issue.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
I'm torn.
The best part about episode 3 to me was literally everything after Order 66. Everything. I slaughtered one by one, and you just knew, like, because Palpatine had been setting up the chess pieces for these 3 movies, and you just knew that was the end game. And instantly, the Empire was born, and it was just like, holy shit. That all of that was incredible to me. The only critique I have about episode 3, and it's not even that big. I mean, there's some stupid dialogue in it, and the thing with the oil slick and the super battle droids and R2 is kind of cheesy. But I mean, it's a minor complaint. I mean, I think of the prequel trilogies. I think I said it earlier. I think episode 3 is the best one.
And you even said it was better than 6 in your opinion, which is going. Yeah. That's a large leap for.
I love it.
For an old man like me who's so set in his ways, right?
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
I just thought it.
Commander.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think episode 3 was very well done.
Well done.
Commander.
Do we? Oh, go ahead.
I wouldn't be Commander Cody if I didn't say Order 66 was probably my favorite part. And my least favorite part was the fact that the clone that I hired to fucking shoot Obi-Wan missed, and he survived. Just kidding.
Fire. All right.
Damn it. What do I hire you for? Right.
Stop.
What do I pay you for?
Come on. Least favorite. Wait, so your favorite was at the events of Order 66?
Order 66. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's been leading to that point throughout the prequel trilogy that the Jedi are this supposed to be the sacred religion. They have everything in order, and it just is crumbling movie by movie, and finally it culminates in Order 66. Palpatine outsmarted everybody. He worked his way into the Senate. He's in control of the galaxy. It's fucking insane. Least favorite part. Give your best favorite part. Let me think about it for a second.
Well, that's awesome that he has to think about it. He puts episode 3 so low in your list, and you're like, I can't think of the. Well, hold on. What line was that I disliked?
You're welcome.
Episode 3, I 100% think every fucking thing. This is the movie that I wanted in Star Wars at the perfect time. I watched the original trilogy. I've watched 1 and 2. Where did I want it to go, and what did I want to happen? Exactly what they put on screen. The Jedi fucked up. Sidious won. Darth Vader's born. And just let the twins fucking float into the original trilogy. This is exactly what I wanted. It really is. I have such high praise. There's such small things that I don't like. The lines. There's a lot of lines that are like, of course he said that. Stop it. But I'm gonna sit here and say, there's not one thing in as opposed to 1 and 2 and the rest of them. There's not one thing that I'm gonna be like, get rid of that. Because even Jar Jar's not barely in it.
No, he's not really.
Dude, we're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker facing off. We're talking about Yoda and Sidious facing off at the same fucking time.
All right.
You're like, dude.
I'm going to be controversial.
Let's do it.
Somewhat controversial. And I'm kind of going to say like the high ground.
No,
the high ground.
No, that's
like you have the most epic fight culminating in the battle of the master and apprentice, 2 of the best characters in Star Wars, and it ends with the high ground.
No, that's a very good point.
Like, I'm 3 feet higher on this pile of rocks than you are. I don't know. I feel like it was a really, really, really low way to end that entire epic battle.
Agreed. It's a cop-out.
I'll say that.
It's a cop-out. Like, you're supposed to cut off the other 3 limbs. How are we going to do it? Well, he'll be up here. Like, all right, go ahead.
I also really like it, and I know I've already had my turn, but I think it's worth mentioning the tension, that shot of Obi-Wan standing at the ramp of Padme's ship is so intense. And apparently the original screenplay was very different. I read that it had she had a knife, and Padme was supposed to stab Anakin and murder him, and she had agreed to do that, and quite different. But I just remember seeing that moment, seeing him there, and Anakin, who's already so twisted, putting those thoughts together, thinking that he was with Padme, which was pretty wild.
Yeah,
really, really an amazing scene.
I was caught up in the theater. I still remember that.
Yeah.
I still remember out of all the prequels that I saw in the theaters, I still remember being really, really, really caught up in that ending. Very emotional when he was on fire, like screaming, like tearing up, and like,
I hate you. You're like,
I know.
He hates him. It's I think they did it so well, and we'll jump into 4 real quick, but I think they did the twist of Anakin in the perfect way.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, he stubbed his toe and then he just murdered younglings. Like, it was a slow descent. Like, we're gonna plant this. His dad, his mom dies, and then he doesn't agree with Obi-Wan, and then Palpatine gets in his ear, and then he fucking chokes his wife, and you're like, whoa, bitch. I get it. He's fucking pissed.
Oh yeah.
He's fucking pissed. All right, episode 4.
Well, technically, Rogue One's next.
Do we do
yeah?
Rogue One? We got to do Rogue One.
You know
right?
what? You know what? Because I think we're tied for time here, little bit. Let's just do the
What?
original
No,
trilogy.
keep going.
I gotta take a piss.
Rogue One. What do you think?
Everything.
I loved Rogue One.
I know.
I
I have to say that it's just I find it so funny.
I'm not the only one.
I know. I love it too. I'm not saying I don't love it. I just think it's funny because all the original trilogy praisers are like, Rogue One, that's it, man. X-Wings and TIE Fighters and Death Star, it's it.
I thought, people criticize that for having characters that were kind of shallow.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of had to be shallow because, you didn't really want to develop those characters. You wanted them just to be a point on the timeline and then die.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the stuff with Tarkin was really cool,
Mm-hmm.
even though the CGI wasn't amazing.
I thought it was.
I mean, a lot of people complained about it. It didn't bother me seeing it in the theater, but seeing him and Krennic, their rivalry, and I had read the book too, the prequel to Rogue One. So, I went into it, with some of that perspective. But I thought the stuff with Krennic was very, very cool. I thought seeing Mon Mothma, same actress from Episode 3, aged a bit because it had been some time. Very awesome. Seeing Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa was super cool. So look at that, some nostalgia for the prequel a little bit.
It was
right?
awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was very well done. I didn't think that creature was necessary.
Oh yeah, the Borgullet. Yeah.
Or the brain sucking, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I thought that was an unnecessary element. And there were some forced cameos like R2 and 3PO and Ponda Baba and Dr. Vezion, whatever his name is. Like, those were not critical in any way.
I think that was probably the cringiest part of that.
Yeah, but I thought Rogue One was just a dynamite movie.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
I agree. We are big fans, and I will say, we're talking about Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
The Tarkin showing up was one of the biggest surprises I've ever had seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters. Like, I feel like we get so much information in trailers and speculation, and we're all trying to theorize that not a lot of things are really left to be surprises in the theater. And seeing, like, Krennic walks into the Death Star, and then it zooms in, and Tarkin turns around, and that blew my mind. Out of anything else in that movie in the theaters, that blew my mind.
It's crazy that that was the goosebump moment.
Yeah,
Like,
and the hallway scene.
first of all, the balls to have to do that.
Yeah,
Whether you're going to do it right or wrong, I personally think they killed it. I think they did a great job with him. But to have the balls to even try that, you're like,
yeah,
huh? And the weird thing is, he has such a pivotal moment or role in Episode 4, but that's it.
yeah.
And then you're just like, all right, Tarkin is the Death Star. Tarkin, Death Star. And then you get Rogue One, you're like, oh, it's him. It's him. I get it. What was your cringe moment of?
I didn't even go yet. I'm gonna say Scarif. The battle was actually my favorite part.
Dude.
Same the things that you listed for Episode 1 and on Naboo, bringing the war to Star Wars. I think Scarif was so in your face. It was such a crazy action battle sequence that we've never seen in any Star Wars movie. Even after that, even stuff in 8 and everything was just not on that scale. So
The fluidity
Scarif was
between the space battle coming down and then having the aerial battle and then coming down to the actual
infiltration or whatever. Yeah.
And it was floating and it was weaved so well.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. Least favorite part is Borgullet.
Oh, that's a very good point. I will. You want to know what my favorite part of Rogue One was? Is the
Chopper.
fact that the good guys lose. The good guys finally fucking lose. And I
Yeah.
know we just talked about the prequels and the Jedi die, but I never had issue with the Jedi because they do die. Oh, the first movie, Obi-Wan dies. It was always the rebellion that was the do-gooders, that nothing happens and it's all fucking happy dancing, fun games, and let's Yeah, it was just crap to me. I never was a big fan of the Rebellion until Rogue One. They're murdering people for information.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the coolest thing, right? Like they showed that it's not so clean cut. Kind of like, I'm going to hijack the conversation. People are bitching about Star Trek now because they're focusing on Section 31, which is this rogue element that doesn't abide by any rules. They do whatever the fuck they want. It was the same thing. When Diego shot that guy, that was a cool moment to show that the rebellion is basically has to get their hands dirty.
One of his fellow soldiers.
Yeah, it
Like,
muddies,
you're going to slow me down and get me stuck here. You have to die.
it muddies the waters. And the fact that he was going to kill Jin's father.
Yeah.
Like just to, prevent X, Y, Z or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, these people are, and they bomb Jin. We're talking about, dude, when her dad's out there on the platform, she's crawling up the fucking ladder.
They didn't mean to bomb Jin though. They
They also didn't give a flying fuck.
That's true.
They didn't give a fuck because she didn't mean anything to him.
Yeah.
Means
to an end.
We brought her in to get rid of her dad.
Yep.
That's why, and we're gonna bomb them
insane.
all. Fuck them.
Insane.
I love it.
What's your least favorite part besides Borgullet?
No, I was gonna say my favorite part is actually
That was your favorite part.
I was still building off you guys.
Dirty Rebellion.
Awkwardly enough, K2SO
Hell
is
yeah.
my favorite part of Rogue One because
It was good.
I think finally there was like a droid that I'm 100% okay with, and I'm not talking shit about R2D2. I'm not talking. I think he plays that rebellion game where he saves everybody, he does everything right, he understands everything. I'm like, C-3PO, and then you finally get like, he's an actual heroic droid.
Yeah.
He does what needs to be done. He sacrifices himself, which should be programmed in every fucking droid. Whatever you're programmed to do, end game would be you die to save the humans.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. That's the first time ever in Star Wars I teared up. I didn't give a fuck about Han Solo dying. I didn't give a fuck about any of them else. I don't care. It was the fact that a droid made me tear up, and I'm like, this is a spin-off film. Stop it, Mopar. But boom, they did it right. What I didn't like was the fact that they put R2 the fact that they put C-3PO and R2D2 in it.
But they did put Chopper in it.
And
yes, Chopper wasn't it?
And Borgullet. Borgullet was
was terrible.
Borgullet was just stupid.
Yeah,
Awfully cringe.
I completely agree. All right, 4?
4? Yeah. Go ahead. Keep it rolling. You starting off.
For
Everything was
4, for
great.
me,
There's no mistakes.
It was the hero's journey for Luke. It was, you connect with this character who's just this 16-year-old farm boy and, begins his journey to a much larger world, as Obi-Wan said. As a kid, there was nothing I disliked about it. As an adult, I think it's kind of silly that they went and said, only Imperial stormtroopers blasters are this accurate, and they couldn't hit a fucking thing, for the rest of the next 2 movies. So
Good point.
that was kind of silly, but a minor critique. I mean, 4 was a wonderful movie.
I will actually bounce off of him. I think the character development, whether it was Han Solo, who I completely believed, whether it was the old space wizard Obi, I completely believed, and Luke, while I'm not a big fan of Luke, I think they built him up in a great way. He was innocent. He was kind of a happy-go-lucky. Even though he was down on his luck, he felt happy-go-lucky. He was the last hope. Like you just feel it. It's built in there. I think what I didn't like was no one's gonna die. Like even the guy that died, Obi-Wan, he just said, I'm just tired. And he just passed away.
Can I make a really interesting point that, not to interrupt, but I think it's very interesting because we're all big Star Wars fans and we're going through our movies chronologically. Not one of us gave a shit to mention Solo.
We were talking about Solo here where
in the chat, everyone was like, don't forget.
We're getting yelled at. And I
give many shits to talk about Solo. I love Solo.
But it's interesting though, I think, that we can think of Rogue One because it literally was almost like the opening crawl of episode 4.
Right.
That it fits chronologically.
Right.
And, less so people.
Is that your favorite thing about Rogue
How
One?
did we not talk about the Vader scene in Rogue One?
Because I kind of feel like it's a cop out for that to be
It's also a hard
A
on.
lot of
I know.
people feel that. A lot of people feel that was a forced scene, just to have it in there. I thought it was cool to see Vader in his prime slaughtering rebel soldiers. I liked it.
And the best part about it was that it was rebel soldiers. It was like fodder for him. So it wasn't like as intense as he got in the comics, because you can't show that on screen, because obviously we know what Vader was like in 4 through 6. It was like the perfect balance of showing him in his full badassery without going too far. But I feel like it was a cop out to say that was my favorite one, but I'm a cop out, so it is.
What are you saying about 4?
About 4. Worst part was the droids, I feel.
That's a
Wandering
very
through
good
the
point.
desert, bumbling around, we're listening to C-3PO talk about nothing for like a half hour at the beginning of the movie.
It's a very slow start. It is.
It really is slow. Best part is, I think, Obi-Wan, I would say. He's dropping knowledge. I like Obi-Wan. He's a really good old mentor in that one. I was out. This sounds really bad and cringy of me being like a young Star Wars fan, but I was really trying hard to think about what my favorite part of Episode 4 would be. Because I'm like thinking about the space battle. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. The trench run's cool, but there's space battles are way better. Vader's cool. He doesn't really do much. Tarkin's cool. He dies. He just yells at some people. Like, Luke's still a bumbling fool in this one. I don't like the droids.
Leia gets penetrated by that ball. Right?
Why'd you
talking about-
say penetrated?
Penetrated.
She did.
I understand, but why?
Look, your minds can go wherever the fuck you want. I watched her get penetrated.
Okay, on to Episode 5.
Episode 5 is all crap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. Everything's bad. Wampa's bad.
Episode 6, favorite
Hoth's bad.
Ewoks. Ewoks usually. So yeah, episode 5. I think this is gonna be the pivotal one. Episode 5. Let's go.
Let's go.
Episode 5 for me was Luke getting his ass kicked by Vader in the Revelation. As a kid, I mean, just mind blowing. Mind blowing.
The hero fails finally.
And I'm your daddy, bitch.
Yeah. I mean,
At the
that was
same time.
like, so much so that he decides to kill himself. I mean, like, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty dark, Like, he's like, yeah, you could chop my arm off. I'd rather be dead than live with the fact that you're my father. That's pretty heavy.
It is.
I never really thought about it that way, honestly. That Luke was just giving up and like, I thought he was trying to find a clever
himself.
way to escape. I never really took it that way, I guess.
I never saw it as he was, like, oh, I'm gonna angle my way down this pit that I've never been down or never seen a schematic and hope to land on a weather vane eventually and psychically call my sister. He was trying to die.
Well, it
I
wasn't
never
written.
thought about it that
wasn't written in the ancient Jedi text that he dies. So, what's your least favorite?
I think that they had to spend 30 minutes repairing the Millennium Falcon, and that seemed unnecessary. But
That took a while. Yeah.
yeah,
That's just a small thing, though. Commander.
True. Favorite part, I'm actually going to say the training on Dagobah. We've complained time and again about Yoda being goofy as hell, but he does drop some mad knowledge there, and it's nice to see Luke put in his place, because that's a big complaint I have in the original trilogy, is Luke being a whiny dude that's just bumbling around, barely surviving one thing to the next. So to see Yoda actually dropping some knowledge and kind of putting him in his place is good. Cringiest part, Wampa.
This deal's getting worse every time.
I would say the Wampa cave, and the fact that how did he get frozen on top of the ceiling? The Wampa had to hold him there for like 3 hours, and yeah, just the whole Wampa thing. He gets his freak on with his sister.
That's funny.
That's the best part. Next.
This is. I'm still saying it. That there's so many hard ties, and not that they're the same movie, but the 8 and 5 are so up and down at the same time. You're like, what? Oh, what the fuck is that? Ooh.
Oh, hey.
I'm actually gonna say my favorite part was the Yoda and Luke back and forth, the training.
Copier.
My least favorite is gonna be Yoda and Luke and fucking training. I think they
I love that, though. I love that answer.
I did think they did so many parts of that so well.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he was a puppet, 1000% thought he looked fucking perfect.
All right.
But when you're like riding the back and then let's stand on a hand and this is how you defeat Vader. stand on your hand and whistle, twiddle me do, and like you're like, what the fuck is he learning here? What is he learning? What is he actually learning? You are learning
Twiddle-me-do?
Twiddle me
That's the
do.
name of the fucking episode. That's right there. Jesus Christ.
Twiddle me do. I'm just saying. I love the dynamic. I love that Yoda puts Luke in his place. Says, "Shut the fuck up, bitch. I am." I am the grand Jedi Master that you're looking for.
I am.
But I'm also a little fucking psycho, and I fucked up, and nothing that I say is right, nothing that I say is wrong. It's from a certain point of view. Yeah. So it's that dynamic. There's so many good things in that movie. I love Hoth. I love almost everything about Hoth.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most unique things in the original trilogy. The snow planet, the walkers, the shield generator.
Oh, yeah.
And Vader fucking lands and starts walking through the rebel base. You're like, dude, he's gonna fuck someone up, even though it doesn't really happen. Dude,
right.
He's like right there. You're like, oh yes.
That was the first thing in Star Wars I ever saw. I would rent Episode 5 on VHS and watch the Hoth battle, and that's it. I didn't watch anything else because I didn't know anything about Star Wars. I watched the Hoth thing on fucking repeat.
Yeah, Hoth is great. And then to his point, the end. Dude, Vader versus Luke, You're like, are you kidding me? Come on, baby.
Yeah.
I love this shit.
6.
So, 6, go ahead.
Vader's got to be Vader's redemption for me. That was such a cool moment.
And what do you hate? Everything else.
The Ewoks.
the lead up to Vader's redemption.
Yub. The song.
Yeah.
Song at the end was horrific.
Yeah.
Before they changed it.
I have a different perspective on that tune, though, because I'm just used to playing Assault on Mos Eisley in Battlefront 2. And the soundtrack was like all those cringy songs were on the soundtrack. Yeah. So they're just singing Yub Nub and you're walking around slaughtering everybody on fucking Battlefront. I'd say favorite part is, I would say the throne room in general. Just the Emperor being a fucking savage. Luke really being tested finally from one way to the other. Mm-hmm. The fight between him and Vader looks really good in that one compared to episode like 4. Like that fight scene's terrible. 5 is good. But Vader's really toying with them, and it really looks great in 6. And then I would agree with you on the Ewoks. My first instinct was to say Jabba's Palace as my least favorite part, but that's the special edition version. The despecialized or the original. The Jabba scene is way better. So yeah, I would say the Ewoks for sure. Teddy Bears defeating the 501st Armor with rocks.
Yeah.
Your armor doesn't deflect rocks. What the fuck?
Limestone, bitch.
This is shit.
Limestone.
Marble on your ass.
Marble on your ass. I will completely agree. The Emperor, Vader, Luke dynamic at the end, so be it Jedi. That was my fucking goosebump moment. I was like,
yeah.
So be it Jedi. Like my father, who's standing right fucking there. He's going to kill your ass. And so be it, bitch. I'm like, let's do it. Everything leading up. I'm not a big fan of the movie. Jabba, I'm not a big fan of the whole Jabba stuff. It's like dragging me through the mud. It's a lot of droid stuff. And I'm like, come on, let's get it. And even the Luke stuff where he's... Well, there we go.
He's pissed.
No.
There we go. Salacious Crumb over here.
Star of the
Salacious
movie.
Crumb.
Yeah, star of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because it is the peak. Like you got that's what you wanted to see. Luke, Vader, Emperor. That's what we got.
Yep.
The redemption's actually a little shaky. Like I kind of wish. I'm glad he died. First of all, because we actually were talking about what if Vader lived and he lived his days out as a Jedi. You're like,
Jelly donut Jedi.
Stop it. So I'm glad he died there.
Yeah.
Jabba. Ewoks is probably my number one. Ewoks, yeah. Rocks to armor.
Yep.
Episode 7, go.
I think Chewie We're Home was the moment for me, the goosebump moment for episode 7.
What was it?
Chewie, we're home. When they walk back on the Falcon.
Walked on the Falcon.
Yeah.
That was super
because that is a very good point because like they're saying it obviously for viewers. They're not saying it as characters like we're home. Like you're from Kashyyyk and you're from motherfucking. Like what are you talking about?
No, but that means something though, especially after seeing Solo.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Okay.
It means something. Or what'd you hate about 7?
how Phasma really didn't have any kind of a significant role in how they dealt with her character. I was expecting a lot from her, and this is my expectation, but
Yeah.
they threw her in a trash chute and it wasn't very exciting. So that's what I didn't like about 7.
And part of me wonders if they did that as a joke. Like, it's just like Boba Fett. He's really
right.
cool.
The shiny silver Boba Fett.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, man. Least favorite part I know for sure is the Rathars.
Oh, I
That's
forgot
weird.
about the rat
That's
eyes.
weird because I'm not. Okay, go ahead. I don't have major issues. With
I
the
know that
Rathars.
one offhand. Like, I really love that movie. I think it's still my favorite Star Wars movie. It has been since it came out. And the Rathars is really the only part where I'm just like, okay, yep, they eat a bunch of people. Let's go. Let's get on with this part. Everything else I love. Favorite part, I'm having trouble deciding because there's so much of that movie that I love. And I can't really say Kylo because he really comes to his own in 8, and I love him in 8 more. So, my favorite part. Why don't you go? I'm gonna keep thinking.
All right,
I'm bad at this game, I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
start off with my favorite part, and this is such a specific thing, but it gave me goosebumps. Is the fucking Hitler scene with
yeah. Hux.
Hux.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Now the outcome of that, where they actually destroyed the Hosnian system, was way downplayed, and I was like, I don't really give a fuck about any of this.
Yeah.
But the scene leading up to it, that Hitler stuff, everyone was lined up, and he's screaming with the Bible, and you're like, holy fuck, this guy's evil. Like, like
He's
Kylo Ren,
unhinged.
Kylo and Snoke are supposed to be the evil guys, and this guy's like, murder everything. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
this guy's mad.
Yeah.
This guy's mad. I guess my least favorite part. This might come off very wrong. Finn. I do not like Finn.
Really?
Yeah, and I think 8 solidified it, but I like the dynamic of a stormtrooper going rogue, but how he did it, how he played it, I was like, I never really cared about you. To be really honest, I don't care if you die. I don't care if you live. I don't think you add anything to the other. I know they tried to like hard tie Finn and Rey in 8. Like, how's Finn? How's Rey? And I'm like, no one really. I personally, I don't care.
Interesting.
Like because that was supposed to be the Han Solo. He's supposed to be. You're not supposed to do that.
Champion City racist as fuck.
I'm not a big Finn fan.
It's okay.
He's he's like the bumbling. He's like the Jar Jar. It's kind of weird.
Wow, that's pretty strong.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
yeah.
Oh, you better hope you never beat John Boyega. He's gonna kick your ass.
He's the Jar Jar Han Solo. Like you're supposed to be like a badass rogue, but not really, but kinda. And then in 8, you're a hero, but not, but kinda.
I could say a little too much joking around for somebody that just defected from the most savage order that the galaxy has seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't know.
A little too much like happy-go-lucky. Like you're on the run for your life, pretty much, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but something about Finn, I'm just like...
Savage Nicole says, I would have liked Finn better if he died.
But wouldn't that have given him more meaning? Like if Rose hadn't actually knocked him out of the way of that mini Death Star laser, like
I see
I would
both
have been
ways.
cool with that, because that's noble and heroic.
Yeah, but it was like it was a complete culmination of his character. I defected. I'm gonna stop them. I stopped them.
Right.
And to let the resistance go.
I see it both ways.
Yeah.
Favorite part for me, I'm actually gonna say for 7 the lightsaber fight. I thought it was really, really interesting to see a lightsaber between 3 people lightsaber fighting. One who has no idea what they're doing. One person who's a pretty good warrior but has never used a lightsaber, and then Kylo Ren. I thought the difference there was interesting, and the fact that Rey really comes to her own in that fight and ends up winning. The fact that Finn gets his ass kicked, but Kylo Ren is really just. You think he's going to be a badass, but he's not in that fight. And a lot of people are really mad about that. They feel like Rey shouldn't be able to win. And at first, I kind of thought that, but looking back on it, it's just obvious that Ren is not where he wants to be in that fight. And the fact that he loses, and the way that he loses, I think is really interesting. We just never seen a fight like that. And the fact that it takes place in that forest, and then the fucking ground splits open when the.
No, there's a lot of cool visuals in that movie. There's a lot of cool visuals in that movie when like Han Solo dies.
Yeah.
And there's like the red, and then it goes dark.
Yep.
On Kylo's
The light
face,
cuts out,
and you're
yeah, yeah.
like, oh, someone's getting fucked today.
Oh,
Penetration.
Yeah.
He gets penetrated too.
Nice. Yeah.
Penetrate.
Number 8. The Final Jedi. Do it.
I liked the lightsaber sequence, even though I hated the outcome. I thought the throne room sequence with, Kylo Ren and Rey was pretty amazing visually.
Yeah.
And I reserve judgment on that scene until we see if there's, some more information about Snoke in Episode 9. Some people think he's not even dead. Who knows? Canto Bite for me was, I just think it was an unnecessary scene. It was filler. The riding on the Fathiers or whatever they were called to escape, that was, I think, equally stupid. So I just didn't like anything about that sequence.
Yep.
Favorite thing for me is probably Luke. He is dropping some knowledge that we've never seen, never heard of in the movies. And it's stuff that ties us back into Old Republic. Just the way he's talking and what he's talking about. The Jedi don't belong, like the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi. They don't own it. There's balance. There's dark and light. You have to understand both. You have to really tie it together. He's just dropping mad knowledge on Rey. And then he ends the thing by force projecting himself to defeat his old apprentice. And that's the way he goes out. I thought that was badass.
So actually, when I watched it yesterday, Glass Armor mentioned, Ren even talks about that force projection earlier. I'm like, what? She said, remember when Rey and Ren are looking at each other and he says, if you even tried this power, it would kill you. Like, you're not strong enough. And I'm like, I didn't know he was talking about force projection. And I'm like, whoa.
Is he talking about it though?
I think so. Like, he was, from Kyle's point of view, she was perhaps force projecting herself onto wherever he was. And
That's the way he saw it.
The effort would kill you. I know this isn't you.
Right, I remember
And
him
then
saying
later, it fucking kills Luke doing it. And you're like,
wow.
yeah, yesterday I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Because from Kylo's perspective, it looks like Rey's in that room, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah. The effort alone would kill you. And then Luke does it later and it kills him.
Shit.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's insane.
My favorite part of Episode 8, I think not that I'm going to say there's 2.
There's 14 favorite parts. Really quick, my least favorite part is the Fathier chase, not Canto Bite altogether. I think the entire sequence is really ruined with the horse chase sequence. I think it would have been something entirely if it didn't end that way. I love DJ. I love the vibe and everything in the casino, except for that opera singer lady with the orbs on her chest and stuff. But it really, what's the word? What's the opposite of a crescendo?
Descendo.
It really just slumps with the Fathier chase at the end. So I'll say that's my least favorite.
My favorite part, if I want to be completely honest, because there's so many good parts in that, I personally, I'm actually going to say the Lightspeed scene through Snoke's ship.
Yeah, that's so badass.
First of all, they did everything that I wanted so well.
So badass.
That not only are the rebellion resistance sacrificing themselves to get away, like they're losing. I didn't even think in Episode 5, like even though people are dying, I never thought the rebellion was like losing. I thought they're just gonna get away and they'll figure it out later. The fact that they're sacrificing themselves for like 30 people behind them in traffic, like that's ridiculous. But not only that the visual was perfect, how everything went like white to black, and then you're like, and then it was just nothing. Like, oh
Yeah.
this is it. This is it.
And the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lack of sound, and then the sound.
Yeah.
The silence, and then that half sonic charge or whatever.
Yep.
Woo!
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I think my least favorite part of 8. I'll agree. Canto Bite. I don't like any of it. I think it was a plot connector that you could have done so many other things. You really could have, and it just failed. I do like the fact that Canto Bite exists. I like the fact that there's like a casino thing. I like the fact that there's money launderers that are working for the good and the bad. I think it sets up a lot.
I love DJ.
And DJ's great.
Yeah.
But everything else was like, nope. you could have done something else. You really could have done something else.
Yeah.
Are we ending with Solo? We're
We
all way
saved
back
the best
Solo?
for last. Solo.
Uh-oh, here we go. Shaking his head.
God.
He's pissed.
I don't think Solo was a bad movie. I actually enjoyed it as a movie. I just had a hard time, and I don't think Aiden, whatever his name is a bad actor. I just don't think he channeled Han Solo in the way, say, that Ewan McGregor channeled Alec Guinness. So I wish they had either cast him differently or cast somebody that at least made me believe I was looking more at a young Han Solo. I just didn't like that. I thought that the overall pace of the movie was cool. I liked the balls that they had at the end of the movie to reference something from the expanded universe, that if you had been a casual and had only gone and seen episodes 1 through, I guess, 8 at that point, you would have had no reason to understand why Maul was running around and they had his robot legs from Rebels and the lightsaber that he built himself from Rebels.
So
that was
sweet.
balls.
Oh,
because you immediately alienated a large amount of your audience, and you're basically saying, look, you know what? Figure it out on your own. And I think that was, and I don't know that they'll ever do it again because the movie did so poorly for a lot of reasons. But I was really excited that they did that because, the thing we joked and said, hey, Chopper's in Rogue One. Chopper, for a split second, if you pause the movie, you could see him, go out of the left corner of the screen. But this was directly something from Clone Wars and Rebels that I was shocked that they did it, but I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your least favorite?
Yeah.
My least favorite was the casting of Han Solo.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Commander.
I'm going to say the score, actually.
Was your least favorite?
No, it was my favorite part.
Oh, okay.
I've been holding that off on the movies, and I think they really went out on a limb doing something different with Rogue One, and I appreciate that. It didn't quite land for me in Rogue One. A lot of the newer themes that were developed for that movie, I just really didn't connect with. I liked how they quoted some of the old stuff, but it just really didn't hit me. Solo, I thought that John Powell really killed it with that score. I think the entire time it's perfect for that movie. The incorporations of the old themes are perfect. The theme from Empire, Han's theme when he's flying through the asteroid field, and then now when he's doing the Kessel Run, that quote was perfect. Chewie's theme pops up. All the Enfys Nest stuff I thought was amazing with that choir. It really gave me chills most of the time. The score was awesome. Least favorite part, I don't know. I like Solo so much. It's hard to pick something. Ugh.
Do it.
I'll say, I hate saying this because in the past I've said that I didn't dislike this, but I'll say the way they give him his last name.
I still enjoy that.
I don't hate it. If I had to pick something that's bad, I would say Han Solo. Yeah, maybe just the delivery or something. I don't know. Something that I'm just like, okay. All right. Okay. Let's move along.
My favorite part was the Chewie and Han dynamic. Them getting to know each other, because that could have gone really bad. They could have gone, even the fact that it wasn't perfect, people were like, what?
Yeah.
I think they did it very well. I think it was very believable. I think they were questioning each other the entire way. I'm glad they weren't fucking buddy from the begin with. What happened? They were kicking each other in the nuts in some mud pit.
Yeah.
And they were both the enemies of the people above them. I fucking love it. They were both trash at the very beginning. And they helped each other out. And then, it went from there. I thought that was great. And it actually builds on what we know as Han and Chewie. Like, if I watch episode 4 today, I have a little bit of a different view of that.
100%.
They know each other.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around. They know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what they did poorly... baby.
Why is it so hard to find something bad about Solo?
Well, Lady Proxima's bad, but it's not that cringy. What did you say?
How he gets his last name.
His name, that's not a big issue to me.
I was just struggling to find something.
Yeah, well,
I guess I like Lady Proxima less than Solo.
Yeah, I think
his last name.
I think also a small one that I really like is Rio is a fucking badass character. I love that he dies. It's really cool. It's really cool. I don't have a specific thing. The weird thing about Solo to me is it's not very peaky, but it's not very like there's not too many low points. Like it's just like solid throughout, and it's good. But there's not a lot that like jumps out to me, good or
I would
bad.
say I'm gonna ditch my last one. I'm gonna say the creature in the mall.
Oh, I completely agree. You're right.
It's
You're right.
way more cringy than
The
Solo getting
fucking
his last name.
Borgullet Supreme over here.
Borgullet times 1,000.
Jesus, trying to read the mind of the Millennium Falcon and they fucked up. God damn. No, you're right. I do not like the mall creature. And I thought it was like interesting, but
Yeah,
you stretched it a little too far.
yeah,
That's all. That's all.
yeah. I was really on board with the Kessel Run sequence. I'm usually not one for those like big long space sequences. And they had me on board, and then until it was just the maw, the giant tentacle octopus thing in the sky was trying to like pull it in.
The other thing that I think they did well with Solo, and as we wrap this up, is they had some big names in that movie that meshed really well.
I think so, yeah.
It could have gone wrong, but I don't think it did.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, but the acting for Chewbacca, spot on.
The new Chewbacca is
The new
amazing.
Chewbacca is the new fucking Chewbacca.
He's incredible.
He is the young Obi-Wan of the new stuff. He acts so, and you could just see it. And he's learning and knows how to fucking.
If there's anybody major I want to meet at Celebration, it's him.
The only person taller than you at the fucking whole celebration. 7 foot what? All right, guys.
So,
Any final thoughts on like Disney overall? Do you think the projection is good? We're going upwards or what?
are you hopeful?
Are you hopeful? Yes.
I'm hopeful.
Okay, good.
Because there's a lot of brewing. There's a lot of brewing. We got 9 not too far away. We got this Mandalorian stuff. We got this Cassian Andor stuff. There's a big question mark, but I think really could be good.
Yeah.
I think it could be good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the future's
I'm not
bright.
in love. I'm not in love with Resistance, but
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I just can't. The animation style is kind of weird, and I just don't think it's great. But Clone Wars started out kind of on shaky grounds and ended up being amazing. So I'm going to stick with it. But no, I think they're doing a good job. I wish that they hadn't become so scared of doing these one-off movies because of Solo's box office, because there's a lot of really cool areas they can explore. And who's to say they won't do it in the future? But
Yeah.
wasn't happy about that.
That does make me sad. I mean, you can't really correlate it to The Last Jedi reaction, I don't think. There's a lot of factors that went into Solo not performing as well as the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't like the attribution that it was just like, oh, people are pissed about Last Jedi, so they all just boycotted. I don't think that's totally true. There's a lot of things that
I think it was
there.
poorly marketed. I think there's a lot of things that they could have done differently with it.
Yeah.
They released it like within 2 weeks or like a month of like 2 other large movies.
Yeah, if they had just kept it with December, it would have been a totally different story.
I agree.
So, yeah, I'm hopeful. We have a few things on our list of news that we're going to push to next episode, just revolving around the upcoming Star Wars things that are happening with Disney. But yeah, overall, hopeful. Very excited.
Except for the license with EA, I'm
Oh,
Good point.
We don't need to go there. That's
Good
my
point.
least favorite thing of the new Star Wars is the license.
EA, yeah, to just ruin everything.
Now, whoever's making the goddamn toys is fucking killing it. Every toy that's been coming out, it looks fucking great. Even the
Yeah.
pops are like, what? Are you kidding
Oh, hell yeah.
Looking great. All right, guys.
Cool. Yeah. Dr. Richard
fun.
Lord, thanks for joining us. It's been fun. Like hearing
Sure
everybody's perspective on Star Wars.
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
It's we do appreciate having someone else on that's not like-minded. We do appreciate that because when me and him just sit here and like, we're
There's
great.
too much of like, I agree with
Everything's
this.
great.
I
Woohoo.
love that. You love that too? I love that. Yeah.
Nice.
Great. Awesome.
So we do appreciate it. So thank you for coming on with us. Thank everyone
For
that
joining
was
in the live
live with
chat.
us.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, we've got some big hitters that are. It's good to see you guys back, Nicole. We got What the Psych, which is new.
Hey, we're at the Psych. Welcome.
Mr.
You're
Benjamin's
catching
back.
us right at the end.
Beer review.
Yes. Shout out to our beer, Samo India Pale Ale from the Long Island Brewing Company, Long Island Company Beer Project, Long Island City Beer Project. There it is. 2 out of 3. Solid goodness.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
First of all, I just noticed that this guy has his middle finger up.
Great.
This is something that I drew back in the 90s.
Let's make it a 3. All right, guys.
I do have one last thing to say.
What is it? What are midichlorians?
Fuck, kill, Mary. Rey, Leia, Padme.
That sounds disrespectful.
Are you sure? Because it could be very psychological. Just think penetration. That's all.
I think that needs to end.
This episode is over.
This episode
I
has
choose
ended.
Chewy as a good cuddler.
Yeah. I'm going to choose Chewy, Chewy, and Chewy.
Chewy. Well, you're into the bush, aren't you? Done.
Oh my
We always end on a weird note.
All right.
That's good.
Are we out?
Yeah, we're out.
We are
That was,
out, man.
that was a lot of fun, guys.
Man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we
We don't often have people that are going to shout back at us and say, fuck you, you're wrong.
Yeah, we don't ever want anyone to come on and feel like they can't have their voice, because that's the whole point of this. Yell at us, and yell at us. So.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, reading the comments, Jammy is an angry person.
He's mad.
But that's how he was
Very
born.
mad.
I've been there. I'm not gonna lie. I've said we're still live on the feed, but I've cut the recording. Jamie, I feel you, bro. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've said the same thing on these episodes. You can go back and listen to it. I've cussed out people that only like 4, 5, and 6.
It's just the unfiltered hatred because
Jammy, I don't want to fight you, brother. I respect you for your opinion.
Yeah.
You just gotta love everybody.
Yeah.
You just get in states sometimes where, like, if all you see is people shitting on the new stuff over and over and over again, you do get to the point where it's like, well, fuck this. Like, if you don't like the new ones, then you're not even a Star Wars fan. Just get out of here.
I've always said, like, don't tell me or anyone else who is and who isn't a Star Wars fan, because they can be whatever the fuck they want. I think it's just the unfiltered hatred.
Yeah.
This isn't my Star Wars because it didn't go exactly like how I wanted it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all right, you Star Wars fan. Get the fuck out of
You
my
can
face.
just get in funks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to go to Celebration. We're all going to hug each other and drink beer and talk about Star Wars. It's going to be great.
Man. Are you going to Celebration?
Probably not. It's in May, right?
April.
Yeah.
April?
Yeah.
What are the dates again?
April 11 to 15.
11 to 15. Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, you'd have to be jumping on tickets like yesterday.
No,
Yeah,
like 3 months ago.
I might go to E3 this year though.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Nice.
I'm thinking about that.
Nice.
Hasn't PlayStation fully pulled out of E3?
They have.
That's crazy.
We should be getting some info on that Fallen Order, though. That is the one way that EA can redeem themselves.
No one likes anything.
Did
Anyways.
you lose us?
No, he's just pissed.
Did you lose us?
He's right there.
No, I'm there.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you talking about me?
No, I thought you might be excited about Fallen Order.
I am excited about Fallen Order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's downplayed right now because people don't expect shit now.
We'll have to talk about this next week after we play some Apex Legends, but I have some things to say
Okay.
about EA. So we'll get
Cool.
there. Cool.
All right, man.
All right, this was fun, guys. So it's saving my recording. Cody, where do you want me to put this audio file?
Throw that in your drive folder for your show, and I'll grab it.
Okay.
And I'll grab it, and I'll put this up tomorrow, and I'll let you know when it's out.
Just title it "Incorrect Opinions," and then we'll integrate it.
WhyI'mWrong.com.
Why I'm wrong?
Yeah.
No, that's hilarious.
I've never been more right.
I love it. I love Star Wars. All right, man.